the fun part is, I don't know if it's fun, but the exciting part is that I get to see the good and I get to see the really bad.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that about my job. You don't want to be like the adversarial lawyer who's difficult to work with, who's just playing very dirty tricks and telling their clients to do unethical things.
If you ever find yourself needing someone to truly fight for you, you'd want a lawyer who's genuinely in your corner. And in this episode, I sit down with exactly that kind of advocate, Niro.
There are some, and I don't want to be one of those at all. And I've seen them. I've seen it firsthand how some lawyers are. And you just respect the hardworking, ethical lawyers who take the longer route versus the lawyers who take the shorter route.
Niro shares why not all lawyers are built the same and what separates the good from the great.
School helps you to an extent. Like it helps you learn the terminology and like kind of like what to expect. But the second you get volunteering, you get in the real world, you start working for a lawyer, that's when day one of school actually starts, where you're confident. So a lot of lawyers, you'd be very shocked, or you could even talk to any lawyer out there. They do school, law school, this school, and then the second they become a lawyer and actually graduate and like get into the real world, they actually don't know what to do first.
We also dive into a powerful conversation about how the wrong voices in your life, especially when growing up, can quietly kill your dreams.
I was a troublemaker in high school, and I guess I didn't footnote like an assignment properly, and he failed me right away. And I asked him, like, just give me a chance. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't footnote like 3-4 things. Like I was just rushing it. I wasn't trying to plagiarize. And he's like, you better get your act together. You're never going to be a lawyer. And he's like, you should rethink being a lawyer. He even told me that you should really rethink about being a lawyer.
This episode is about more than law. It's about greed, purpose, and what transforms someone into a force to be reckoned with. Listen in.
I'm very like pragmatic and logical to the point that I get a degree is a big thing, and people work hard for a degree, and I it's very commendable and respectful how hard you work. But for me, it's just a piece of paper, because I spent so much money and time for a piece of paper that didn't really help me get into the real world until I got into the real world.
I'm feeling very proud, man. Today I'm getting the chance to cross-examine a lawyer. Not only a lawyer, but Toronto's greatest lawyer. So I think this is beautiful. This is nice, right? I think I should call my mom and tell her I made it.
Yeah, exactly. I try my best.
Yeah, man. Niro, before we talk law, I need to know what's more intense, cross-examining a hostile witness or being grilled by some detectives?
Cross-examination, you're always on your feet.
Yeah.
And it's super exciting. Most criminal lawyers, I guess majority, I don't know if I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, majority of criminal lawyers love cross-examination. I think that's why they do trial.
Is that what you love the most?
Cross-examination, the real main reason, like if I were to be a little bit more particular about why lawyers like it, is because there's two types of ways you can ask questions.
Oh.
One's called leading and one's called direct. And then civil lawyers do the same thing, leading and direct. Leading is more fun because you could actually say the answer. You could lead them on. You don't have to hold back. Direct, you kind of have to ask them the who, what, when, where, how. You can't say like you opened the door, correct? You have to be like, what did you do next? How did you do it? What did you do right after? You have to be very vague. So when you're cross-examining, you're allowed to be leading when it's not your witness. So when it's you're the other side's witness, you can be more leading, and it's the best thing ever.
So when it is your witness, you can't lead.
No, technically you can't. But you prep them. You trial prep them as in like what the difference is between leading and direct. Most of my clients know before trial, or else they're like, why is Niro not asking me questions like that? Why is he being like harder? Like it doesn't make sense. So if you prep them, they're like, oh, now I know why he's doing that, because I'm his witness. He can't give me the answer. So I could easily be like, oh, you were there, right? Yes, you were 100%. You opened the door, right? Like I'm telling him the answer before.
So you can't do that.
Yeah, I can't do that if it's my own witness. But if it's the other side, I could 100% do that. Yeah. And it's so much fun.
So if you are leading that way, then the other lawyer can.
So the other lawyer has to do vice versa. The other lawyer can't lead to their own witness. But now my client, so my witness, the one I brought to court, the other lawyer, so usually in criminal law, it's the Crown. Yeah. They can actually now lead my client. So I'm now on my toes. Yeah. Because I don't want it's not that my client's lying or not lying or telling the truth. It's actually they're so well trained, both sides, at questioning that you don't even notice sometimes you answer the wrong question without even, because you just want to say yes or no. You just want to go to the next question.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are nervous there because they're on trial, right? Who wouldn't be nervous? And then the crown might just be like, so you would find it very, very dangerous to drive at this speed, or very, very dangerous to open the door that fast, don't you? And the client might say, yeah, I guess so, yeah. So they have no clue what they just did. It was a simple question technically, but the lawyers, I can't believe, like the charge might even be called, for instance, there's an actual charge called dangerous driving, for instance, and if the question was to the person, say my client, the accused, hey, wouldn't you say that speed you were going at was insanely dangerous? Yeah, I guess so. Like, yeah, like not really, but he just said, yeah, maybe. You just kind of like,
but you screwed yourself.
You literally, yeah, you kind of like convicted yourself by accident. But that's what you see why trial prep is so important, because we literally can't let that happen. That's why they pay us the big bucks, because we sit with them for hours, and like I pretend to be the other side. I'm like, all right, so did you find it dangerous when you were going that speed? And the client's like, yeah. I'm like, then you explain why you just, even though you think it's a simple question, I explained to them why it was so dangerous for them to say yes, because they weren't really answering the question the way they wanted to. They just thought they were saying they were going fast.
Yeah.
But they didn't notice they were saying they were going dangerously fast. They didn't get that. They were just like, oh. But we teach them. So trial prep is insane. It's a lot of time, but it separates the good lawyers from the bad lawyers. So, to be honest, like trial prep, like even taking a course as a lawyer, and these legends of lawyers like teach you. Like literally, Paul Bernardo's defense lawyer was teaching me. John Rosen, phenomenal guy. Just recently too, and he was like telling how much prep goes there. Like literally go to the scene, stand at the scene, look around the scene.
The guy who he wrote what did he write? Did he write the book that lawyers who didn't study in Canada used to prep for the bar exam, something like that?
There's so many of them, to be honest. Like there's some that write criminal textbooks. There's some that write the criminal code.
Yeah.
There's some that write amazing defense. Like they'll be like Greenspan. Like you hear like OG lawyers, or the new lawyers are still practicing. Like Kim Schofield, and they're just really badass female criminal lawyers.
And Harvey Specter too.
Harvey Specter, yeah. American Law. It's funny.
Yeah.
If you really want to apply Harvey Specter, you get, every lawyer I think gets that question because of Suits and how famous it is.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, it's like Suits, right? Suits, and they compare you. And then as lawyers, we're like, we wish that was real life, like how exciting it is on TV. It is not at all. It's very tedious.
Yeah.
It's very tedious, but sometimes you enjoy the end result of the tedious work. That's where it's kind of like Suits, but it's so tedious in the beginning. And then, like, for instance, when they're like fighting a case in the show and they're like, all right, I'm going to see you at the hearing. And then they have a hearing and then they fight the hearing and they're back like the next day. That never happens. It literally would, just to go through that process will take like maybe a year or longer. Yeah, but they make it look like they did it in 2 weeks. And it was just quick, and we just won the case so quick. Like,
it's like the next day they were in court and that happened.
No, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna fight. Oh, you want to appeal it? We'll talk in like in a year. I kid you not.
So this case actually take a very long time, like
very
2
long.
years, 3 years.
It's not that. It's just they're just the court systems. They do their best, but they're very behind. It's just there's only so much they can handle.
Yeah.
And some courts, like especially like Brampton or I guess like the new Super Court, they do civil, family, and criminal at the same time. So some lawyers, they're doing like a criminal trial, and boom, they're in the next room doing like a divorce. The same lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're just like they're very limited for space and lawyers and time.
Yeah.
And judges, and then so they do their best to like coordinate. They do it well, but at the end of the day, like it's just there's a lineup. It's an insane lineup. It's definitely not like Suits.
Niro, not only are you Toronto's biggest criminal lawyer.
Biggest criminal lawyer. You're gassing me so much. I wish so many lawyers are probably like looking at me and like.
Well, you actually are, man.
I'm a good lawyer. I'm a good lawyer. Definitely not the best. 100% not the best. Criminal. Okay, I love criminal.
I like how you're playing it down. Maybe not the best, but you are the biggest though, right?
I try to be the biggest, man. I think even confidence-wise, I tell myself I'm very humble as a lawyer. But yes, we all want to be the biggest, but I have a long way to go. If I were to be completely honest with myself, real estate, I'm good. I'm really good at it. Criminal, I'm getting better at it, and I love it more than real estate. But I would say I have a long way to go if I want to be a best. But the good thing is that I do train lawyers. I do it really well. I do it fast. That's why they come to me, because they get their money for they get their time pretty much. So how can I say it? They get their bang for their buck. That's what I'm trying to say. So even though they pay me a very reasonable fee, very not even that crazy, you'd be surprised how low my fees are to train them.
Yeah.
But even though I train them, they know how quickly I get it in their head. I'm like, oh, now I can do a case. And they're just kind of show me the quick routes. Then boom, boom. This is the important stuff.
Yeah.
Now I actually feel confident to take on a client. I didn't teach them like this is the basics. This is the history of law. Like
Yeah,
the
they
stuff
already
that
went to law school
doesn't
for
really
that.
help you. Yeah, the school kind of does help you. The school, I don't want to. There's a reason why I'm laughing. The school
Okay.
helps you with the vocabulary. Let's just say that.
Okay.
The school, the real life experience as any lawyer, any field at all, even paralegal. I think actually it doesn't even apply to lawyers. I think it applies to every field, like as in mechanics to doctors to accountants.
Yeah.
I don't think school helps you to an extent. Like it helps you learn the terminology and like kind of like what to expect. But the second you get volunteering, you're getting in the real world, you start working for a lawyer. That's when day one of school actually starts, where you're confident. So a lot of lawyers, you'd be very shocked, or you could even talk to any lawyer out there. They do school, law school, this school, and then the second they become a lawyer and actually graduate and like get into the real world, they actually don't know what to do first.
Yeah.
It's because they just never worked. Actually, they helped organize, maybe volunteered, did a little side jobs.
Yeah.
But when they're on their own, they
aren't
start
able
and they're
to.
like, unless they're working for someone, which is most likely what people do, they don't know what to do.
So things like moot court don't help. I think I've seen people doing moot court when they're in law
Moot court
school.
does help. Moot court
Yeah.
gives you like, kind of like, again, I think it's vocabulary. Like
Okay.
I learn how to speak. I'm talking. I know how to question. I know the difference between direct and leading witness because I learned it in class. But then when you have a client in front of you, like, okay, you learned this in school. You were the champion of the moot trial you did in high school and law school. You did really well. Now here's a real client. Please prep him. They won't know what to do. They know what to do. They know kind of what's the like, but they don't know the first thing to do because school and everything, there's not a lot on the online, right? It's just like you can lose, it's fine, but you work really hard. You study hard. You prep really hard, but there's not the danger of if you lose, his life is on the line. Like you lose, like there's no second chances.
Yeah.
So when you put a client in front of them, and then you're like, now like do exactly what you did in school, but apply it to this guy. They won't. Some of them will. Honestly, they would just wing it kind of, but it's super dangerous even to wing it, because now they're like, oh my god, this is a real life client. Even though I'm winging it, and I did really well, and I was a champion of all of Ontario in mooting.
Yeah.
Like if I screw up, this guy is done. He's not getting a second chance. And then on top of that, if I screw up really bad, he could come after me. So is this really?
They could sue
easily.
you.
Because imagine you didn't even prep him. Like you were just getting him ready for whatever you did for moot trial, but you didn't, because you don't have a client to prep, right? You have your friend you're prepping and moot competitions and stuff. Or sometimes there's like a volunteer who's pretending to be a witness you never met.
Yeah.
But this is a real life client. You had no clue. You were supposed to spend maybe hours or days, maybe even weeks, if it's a serious case, to prep. But you didn't do it. Maybe you met him once. And then just because of that incompetence, the client finds out from his new lawyer that, oh, how long did your previous lawyer prep you for court? Oh, he just told me to come tomorrow. What do you mean? Like he just said tomorrow's trial. Can we please meet there? I'm like, so he did. How long did he sit with you, or did he or she sit with you before a trial? They didn't sit with me. Yeah, like we just met in court the day of trial. I'm like, oh wow, and now the truth comes out, and that's how lawyers get sued. But it never happens right away. It always happens like years, months later.
Okay.
Like it always happens over like a drink over coffee. Literally, the most casual places. That's when people get ideas, conversations with family friends who are lawyers or not, and they're like, wow, oh, I'm going after this guy. And even though it's like 2-3 years later, you even forgot who your client was.
You know, I'm thinking now, when you have a what do you call them? A public defender.
Crown attorney.
Crown attorney. Yeah. Do you think they prepare you well enough, or would they prepare the client well enough? And is it possible then for the client to come after them if they feel like the public defender or the crown attorney didn't defend them well enough?
Crown attorney, like prepping their witnesses pretty much. So that's the difference. So it's pretty cool. So remember I told you I took a course recently with like Paul Bernardo's defense lawyer?
Yeah.
So the best part is he actually calls a crown to come, like a senior crown, like who does only homicides. And then he brings in another defense lawyer, like 20-30 years, only does murders and homicide, like big stuff. And they brings them in the class and we get both perspectives. It's so cool. And they were saying how you guys are lucky because you can take your time and prep your witnesses and call them into your office. We could prep them. We could kind of tell them tomorrow's the case, but they don't really like tell them what to do or anything. They don't like prep them to the point where this is what the defense lawyer is going to say. He's going to say questions like this and you should be careful. They don't do stuff like that. They just said, be careful. Like be questions, be careful, take your time, answer questions. Would you like to review the stuff that happened years ago? Would you like to send some notes to you? They can only give them options, and because there's so many cases back to back, so they can't cater to them. But we have our own clients. We could take our time with our clients, but they can't because they're hired by the government, right? The government pays them, so they're another file,
Yeah.
another. So they have to do their best to space every file out, give every victim, every like complainant, the person that complains, time to like do their trial. So they can't spend like hours and days with some complainant sometimes because they don't have the privilege pretty much. But we have that as defense lawyers. So that's the cool part. So that was a great question. How you're saying like they won't go after them. They're pretty much saying as long as the Crown attorney does what they're required to do, like it's called due diligence, like the minimum, not the minimum, a little bit more than the minimum. They can pretty much, they're scot-free because they did their best, they did the minimum. They weren't, but if they're completely incompetent, like they didn't even, like they just say tomorrow's a date and they never called them, then maybe there is an opportunity. Maybe it's hard for me to say, but it's just they do their best. Like I said, like I work really well with the other side, but I think that, and when you see legends say the same thing and how they work so well with the other side, you want to be like that. You don't want to be like the adversarial lawyer who just like, who's difficult to work with, who's just playing very dirty tricks and telling their clients to do unethical things. There are some, and I don't want to be one of those at all. And I've seen them. I've seen it firsthand how some lawyers are. And you just respect the hardworking, ethical lawyers who take the longer route versus the lawyers who take the shorter route. You just, I want to be the guy that takes the longer route and learns the right way. And at the same time, I could teach people better, right?
Yeah.
That's the best part.
You get to learn.
Yeah. You're a professor. You probably love. I didn't know I loved teaching until after I became a lawyer.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it at all. Wasn't interested in it at all. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then people just asked for help, and I was like, oh, you know what? I've been there. Like, and I had terrible mentorship. So I was like, you know what? I can't do what people have done to me. It was like karma. I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I went out of my way.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is kind of fun. Like, and I get it, and I teach them so quick. And I'm like, I'm like giving gold, like stuff that makes them insane amount of money.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to them in like minutes. And I'm like, why couldn't I get this? I get jealous. I'm like, it literally kills me. I'm not even joking. It kills me inside because I do it so well and I do it so quick, and it hurts me. If anything, it deeply hurts me because now I know it's possible. Yeah. And how good I am and how quickly I wanted it. Then it's worse. It's kind of like I teach them so well, and then I get jealous of it right after because I'm like, wow, it actually worked. Like it actually made sense to them. And then I get jealous. I'm like, oh, I wish someone did it to me. Yeah. But then that's where the passion for teaching started.
I also think that, we are lucky in the sense that this generation that is there right now is lucky in the sense that they have all these people who've gone through the system to teach them. I feel like we didn't have, when we grew up. And also with
go
technology.
to the law libraries and all that.
This episode is already so intense, man.
Yeah. The good days, man. Law libraries. Yeah. Honestly, we still talk about it, but no one likes the law libraries, man. Of course, you want to Google everything. I prefer it, honestly. Like, I'm not even going to play like, I love the old school, just going to the law. Like, I don't want to climb shelves and go through books. It is, honestly, like I'm saying a lot of honestly, but I've done it. So when I prepped for my first trial, I had like all these books out and I had like my laptop out and I was looking at it. And once it took forever and I was almost to the point of like breaking down. I think once I got the answer to my question that took like a day and a half to get one answer. Yeah. I was like, holy crap, this stuff actually works. Like looking at all the sources at the same time. And it's so tedious. This is where Seuss doesn't come in. This is real life. And then I can't believe I took so long to get one question right. Like I didn't give in. Yeah. I didn't give in. I was so close to giving in. I'm like, this is what separates a good lawyer from a bad lawyer. It's giving up. But
taking
like
the time to do your research.
When I teach people, I tell them, I guess I'm good at like portraying the truth that I could apply to every field of law. Not every field of law, every field in general. So I could tell kids who are engineers, this is how it is. I could tell kids who are studying medicine, this is how it is. I could tell contractors, trade workers, I'm like, this is how it is in real life. So they like that. And I think that's where like the teaching and all that started happening, the passion. And then I'm like, I like it. I enjoy it. And it sucks that I didn't get it. But yeah, I even had a teacher, if you want to be completely honest, it was great. I'll never forget his name. I won't even say it out loud. But I guess he kind of sparked my aspiration of being a lawyer. I always wanted to be a lawyer since I was a kid. And I was a troublemaker in high school. And I guess I didn't footnote like an assignment properly. And he failed me right away. And I asked him, like, just give me a chance. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't footnote like 3-4 things. Like I was just rushing it.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to plagiarize. And he's like, you better get your act together. You're never going to be a lawyer. And he's like, you should rethink being a lawyer. He even told me that you should really rethink about being a lawyer. And that never like left me. It struck my nerve. Yeah, it struck a nerve. But in a way, like I can't believe he would say it. Back, how teachers weren't like how they are now. Back they were very raw. And I'm not saying I was the easiest kid. I completely was not the angel. I was far from an angel. But I wasn't like, I would never disrespect a teacher. I might be the class clown, I talk, I laugh, whatever. I'll never disrespect or like yell back at a teacher or anything. But for him to say that, I was like, that could have broken me. But if anything, it made me.
Yeah,
like,
made you want to do this.
Like, this guy said, I can't be a lawyer. He even said, like, rethink your career.
How old were you at this point?
16, 15.
Yeah, so in high school.
In high school.
Yeah.
And I was like, it really hurt. And the worst part, this prof, he was a law teacher in grade 11 law. And he comes from a family of lawyers. So he tells us, I think his brother or sister is a lawyer. And his mom's a lawyer. It's crazy. It's like this. He just didn't want to be a lawyer because everybody in his family is a lawyer. Yeah. He's like, I want to be a teacher. I'm like, cool. So when he told me that, I was like, oh, it's hard because on top of that, he knows lawyers.
He knows stuff, yeah.
He's from a family of lawyers, and him saying that, it hit me, man.
So this bug of being a lawyer had beat you when you were pretty young?
Yeah. I always wanted to be a lawyer when I was young. I would say very young. I was actually because of a movie, if I were to be completely honest. Yeah, because I'm a huge moviegoer, and I'm like a 90s, like early 2000s. Like I love classics, like, everything, like Mafia, this, that, action. But it's a Keanu Reeves movie, actually. It's called The Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
Al Pacino.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it, but I have it.
It's very intense.
Yeah.
It's very intense.
It's Keanu Reeves, right?
And Keanu, yeah. And then it's an opening scene, how the movie starts. And he did something insane. He won a case by looking at a guy's shoes, pretty much. He like profiled the guy's shoes, what kind of shoes he's wearing. Yeah. And he won that case, kind of thing. And I was like, how did he do that? But you know what the weirdest part is? I was so young that made sense to me. Like that scene where he profiled the guy's shoes and he did some kind of like, did the math, and he's like, okay, that makes sense because of his shoe. It's like ripped up or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was, but it was something with the shoe. And then he profiled the dude. And it was only because of the way the shoe was, the condition of it, that he was able to get the answer and he won the case. And I was like, but it made so much sense to me, that particular scene. And I was like, what is it? I didn't even know lawyers. I remember I was so young when I watched it. I don't know what a lawyer was. And then that's actually what sparked it. And then over time, I was like, let's find out what a lawyer is.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with math. I'm good.
And you hated those two.
I'm terrible at both. I have nothing against science or math. I envy people who are like just
I was just gonna say, you sit right next to a scientist and you're saying this. It doesn't mean that you don't like what we do, No,
like, but when I hear like biologists and stuff, like when they talk about like neuroscience about like the brain, they're so passionate. They get excited. And I'm like, that's so cool.
The same way you are excited about
criminal
law.
Exactly. So I wish I had that, but it frustrates me because I don't understand.
I understand.
I'm like, I'll stick with the criminals. Like, and the real estate, like I was thrown into it. It was never like I would be lying to you if I ever said like I couldn't wait to be a real estate lawyer. Criminal lawyer, yes, I love being a criminal lawyer.
Yeah,
but real estate,
let's go to real estate.
Yeah,
and I was gonna say this actually. The funny thing is that this episode has even gotten very intense before it even got said, and I like
criminal,
this.
Yeah. It's the criminal stuff.
Let me just even tell people here that folks, if you're new to this show, this is the Couch Connect. Over here, I sit down with great folks like Niro here, and we get to talk about the art and science in everyday life experiences. So if you haven't yet, and you probably found this exciting, do subscribe to this channel and do tell your friends to tell their friends as well. And my promise to you is that I'm going to try to continue getting better at what I do, continue getting great people to sit on this couch next to me like Niro here, and we'll continue getting these discussions going. And so Niro here, we've been talking so much about criminal law so far. I also know that you're in real estate law, and probably we're going to start with real estate law before we go back to criminal law and talking about that. But I also wanted to say that, from the outside looking in, Canada seems like, a very relaxed country with not a lot of crime going on, very laid back. But when I was doing my research for this episode, I got to see the soft underbelly of the Canadian legal system. Maybe that's what the conversation today is going to be about. But let's start with real estate, because I know that you are a real estate lawyer on top of being a criminal lawyer. Toronto's real estate is a gold mine. But at the same time, we can call it a minefield because stuff could explode anytime. So if I could go on that, minefield, I feel like, well, there's many people who rent homes, and I had, I guess recently talk about, purchasing homes, and we're going to talk about purchasing homes, but let's talk about, landlords. And, some landlords are really horrible because they always tell their clients, what, we're doing this renovations, but yet they are evicting them. And so do renters have any rights really?
It's a tough question because, to be honest, you see a lot of landlord and tenant stuff. I don't specialize in landlord tenant, so just to put it out, it's usually like paralegals. There are some lawyers that specialize, but we see a lot.
Yeah.
But from what we see, it is very tenant friendly. The laws are very tenant friendly.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say.
I could say it very openly, and I've seen it firsthand because I was also a landlord once for my parents' place, and I think I went to the tribunal. I was studying actually articling, and I went to the tribunal like 9 times. And then
for one tenant?
For one tenant that I found out later that she was a professional.
Yeah.
Like next level.
So what's a professional tenant? Maybe we should...
professional tenant. This is how you know.
Oh, wait.
No.
So they were a professional tenent, or they were a professional person?
Well,
in their life?
It's kind of like it's how you would judge the scenario. You're imagine you and you're a student and you're in a tribunal. You're trying to evict your tenant.
Yeah.
And this like next level lawyer that probably looks like he knows everybody, like the judge, not the judge, the members. They're like judges.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the people that kind of make this. They're called members, and they even know this lawyer so well. They're like, hey, they're very first name basis, so he's an OG, like he's known and he does this for a living. So imagine,
who was the lawyer?
So I wasn't even a lawyer. I was just helping my parents out. I was a rep. I wasn't a lawyer yet, but I was a representative. I was the one that's helping my parents speak because I was very new. I was learning as I was going. And then my parents have a language barrier, so I'm not going to let them defend themselves. Yeah. So I went, and then remember I was just studying. I'm still studying to become a lawyer. It was just all over the place, and I don't know much about the field either. And it took me 9 times in a hearing to get rid of her. And then at one point,
so wait a minute. I'm still going to take you back. So the lawyer who was on first name basis with the member, was that the lawyer of the tenant?
No, not at all. He was just a random guy walking in court.
Yeah.
So he came up to me one day while I'm about to. I think my turn was next. Yeah. And he just randomly came up to me, and I was like, why is this guy coming up to me? And I thought he was going to say something like, young guy, your shirt's untucked or something, right? Because I was dressed up. And then he's like, what do you say, your tenant? I'm like, are you the landlord? I'm like, my mom is. I'm just helping her. I'm just studying, sir. I don't know much, but it's better I speak than my mom. But I'm also studying law, so it's better than her that, she barely knows the law. And then he's like, okay, but I feel sorry for your son. I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what did I do? She's like, be careful with this one. He's like, I've been here at least 3 or 4 times for different landlords. Just that one tenant, the one I'm going against, my own tenant, she's been there. Like he was the lawyer helping that landlord's hired to evict her, and she's so good at it. So he told me, he's like, I feel so sorry for you. Yeah. Like he felt sorry.
So what are the things that this tenant did?
And then I still got her out. Like I don't know how I did it, but it took me forever because I was learning.
How long was she in your place for? If you know.
Because it was years ago. I would say it took us about. It was bad. It was so bad. 8 months.
Yeah, and the entire time she's not paying rent.
And then the entire time no rent. I think it was like I think there was like a payment, but to be honest, we didn't care about the money. We're like the money's gone. We just want her out. Yeah. And my parents it was their first house in Canada, and it was we renovated. I think to the point of like I think my parents spent about 60 to 70,000 in renovations after evicting.
After she left. Because she'd broken down the place.
It was so cockroach infested because we didn't live there. We actually went somewhere else as a family, and then. We only she had the whole house, like the upstairs. She wasn't like a basement tenant. She was upstairs. Yeah. And it was so bad. The Orkin guy, the guy that comes to like bomb the bugs, he's saying like he's never seen a house this bad. And I think prior to the tenant, my parents lived there for 20 years, not one cockroach. Not one for 20 years. Yeah. On a 1950s built house. And this tenant comes, I think within like, it took like 6-7 months. I think the first check bounced. It was bad. It was probably the tenant from hell. But honestly, even though it was a terrible experience, the experience taught me so much. Taught so much. I would help my clients. I'm like, I know you guys are just bought a house. So for instance, for your viewers, if you want a quick like piece of advice, people think like signing the agreement is a done deal. It is a done deal, but you could always like, if something bothers you, you could bring it up to them, be like, hey, I can give you your deposit back. I just don't feel comfortable giving you the place. It's because they haven't moved in yet. And you have to have a valid reason usually. But the trick, not the trick, but the hint or the tip is do not give them the keys. Yeah. Even if you give them the keys to look at the place and you don't get it back, there is a chance they could play like we had a verbal agreement. Yeah. Like we already spoke about it. He said $500 a month. And then be like, how did I get the keys to go in the place then? You'd be like, today was the move-in day, and then we can't evict them.
So hold on to your
Just like,
keys.
be like, if, and I swear to God, I kid you
But
not.
don't I see
can
all
literally
this
be like,
time-
Joab, can I quickly get the keys? I'm like, I want to go quickly inside and see it. Like, you can just stay out here.
Mm-hmm.
I can go in, and they'd be like, I like this way, just stay in. Technically, no one would have. There are people that do that, but they take advantage of like the elderly and do that, and they go in, and because they know the law so well, you can call the cops, and they could, if they were. I don't even want to say this because it's kind of like teaching your viewers how to be terrible tenants.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you get to learn those stuff
at the
over
same
here,
time,
but yeah.
they're learning about how bad it could be. So
Yeah,
should
the
I
homeowners here
continue?
as well. Yeah, of course, continue. I want to know.
All right.
I want to
Okay.
know about this because I
So-
mean, if I'm a landlord and this happens to me,
It's
I
not
want
like
this happens to me.
it's not like there's ways you can stop this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like people can be like, no, you're going too far with this. This is not normal kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could play the story so well and be like a insane, really good pathological liar to the point you can convince even police officers, which
Yeah.
really does happen very
Mm-hmm.
oftenly. And this is the criminal lawyer coming out. And then convince them so well that there was a verbal agreement. Joab
Mm-hmm.
did say you can stay here, and I did give him 500. I don't know what he did with it, but I gave it to him before
cash.
I gave him cash.
Yeah.
He's lying, sir. He's a terrible landlord. He even said I can move in today. My truck's right there. It's full of my stuff. How did I get the keys there? I'm holding the keys. He said I can move in today.
And from there
And then
on,
what do you
you
think
as
the
landlord,
police are gonna do?
I mean, they're gonna let you in.
They're probably gonna say, "Sir, this is not like a criminal matter." What are they gonna say? This is a landlord and tenant matter.
Yeah. So go to the
But
landlord.
what did you technically do? Well, you didn't do anything. You just
give them the
innocently
key?
gave
Yeah.
the key.
And from there,
Yeah.
by giving away your key, you basically got into this nightmare.
They could spin the story. They
Yeah.
could spin the story really well, and it's
Damn.
like it's a dog eat dog world.
Mhm.
That's why I don't do landlord and tenant because I don't know. It's just not for me. I love
Mhm.
criminal. I
Yeah.
love the blood and gore.
Yeah.
But I
You-
think like there's like I'm going out of track. I'm going back to criminal again.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
go
we're
back to
gonna
real
come back.
estate.
Yeah. So going back to real estate, I could ask you here. So I had a guest here recently. His name is Jeremy, and we talked about when how to buy a home and stuff like that. And we talked about the fact that you need to involve a lawyer in your home purchase.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking that sometimes you've had your clients, and what is one of those clauses that people normally go over without even being careful to look at, that you think it's very important that people understand the contract that they're signing with their seller or the developer who's selling them the home.
Okay, when you're talking about like agreements and clauses, this would be good for like a tip for your viewers. It would help a lot.
Yeah.
And it does help even for my clients. I give freebies all the time. Like lawyers probably hate me because we make money. They make money off what I say, right?
Yeah.
But I'm more like, you know what? I do give like the trade that like the gold trade of like how we make our money. But at the same time, I'm not super meticulous about it. I'm not going into detail why it is what it is. That's where the lawyers come in because
Yeah.
we know what is reasonable, what isn't reasonable. That's where the client's like, even though I know that this is an issue and I should look into it, I need you to help me. As in, like, is there a way to negotiate? Is there another way around it? Sometimes clients will be unreasonable. They're like, no, I learned Niro in a video said that these type of clauses are dangerous. It doesn't mean they're the worst ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're standard. Sometimes you do if you want the investment of the home, you still have to go through with the clauses, but they're
Yeah.
very dangerous. So you would kind of be reasonable and try to negotiate. Hey, can you do this instead? So a lawyer would come in. So even though I'm giving you guys like advice and not legal advice, tips. Let's call it tips. Because I have to be careful.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, obvious disclaimer.
Of
No,
course, I'm
no,
just going to
kidding.
plug you in here
Yeah,
also and say
but
that if you want Niro's legal advice,
Yeah.
his address and everything, his contact's going to be in the description to this video. So you can always reach out to Niro. He's a great lawyer, and he can help you out. But yeah, go on.
But no, I love helping people. I love educating people because I always wanted to be the person that just, for instance, I'm scrolling through Instagram and I get tipped, and then this lawyer just taught me something that I can use in real life. That's literally what I want. That's why I do the Instagram stuff.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if I were to complete it, I'm not a huge social media person. But the information I get, if I can expand it and tell like the audience, like how I'm going to right now with the agreement and stuff, then if they can make something out of it, if they could save a couple thousand just because I made like a 30-second video,
Yeah.
imagine. Like
Yeah.
I would love that, right? Even though I didn't even know that it even happened. But that's the goal of, I guess, expressing my opinion and giving people tips and everything. So for agreements, there's sort of like a developer. Let's talk about pre-construction in particular. There's limits that you want. So there's something called levies. Levies are like charges that are to come. Like at the time of signing the agreement, like because house hasn't been built yet, right?
Yeah.
So these fees are usually finalized at the end, like years from now. So how could the builder determine it now? You're just signing it now, saying I want a house, I want it like shaped like this. I want this room square feet, blah blah blah. So we got that part out of the way. But these levy charges, they come up afterwards, and no one knows what it is. Usually we have an estimate, and the builders would usually say whatever those charges are, we're just gonna split it amongst all 100 homeowners because that's how many people bought the house, 100 homes in that area, and whatever it is, you're all paying it. So it literally, I've seen horror stories, but there's also, you could be lucky and it could be low, but it's rare that it's low. It could easily jump. Like from what I've seen, from my experience, I've seen from, I would say 10 grand, $10,000 to 40 to 45,000. So imagine that just landed on your plate because of a charge that you didn't know. So we as lawyers will tell them, before you sign the agreement, ask them to cap it. Ask them to put it at 10 grand or 5,000. If you're really, really
Very
good,
important.
if you're really good, some builders, they'll do it just to sell you the house. They'll say nothing, no levy charges, nothing. Yeah, just like buy the house. Obviously you're going to jump on that, right? But what they do is, if I really want to, people are going to hate me out of this. If I really want to go far, what they do is they already they factor into the price already. Yeah, that's how they get you. It's a sales incentive, right? But they're just really good at their jobs. Why wouldn't they be? They're selling hundreds of thousands of houses for millions. Some of them are $1 million.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think they're going to go so far to factor everything into the price?
Of course.
And then they're going to sell it to your average Joe who doesn't know anything about real estate and who doesn't want to pay $200 to $300 for a lawyer to review it because they think they're saving $200 to $300 when they're actually losing. Average that people lose from not reviewing an agreement is, I would say, minimum $5,000. If I had to estimate, minimum $5,000. If from my own experience, but other lawyers a different experience. I've seen just because they want to save $200 to $300 from a lawyer reviewing it, and they just like signed it. And like, all right, let's see what happens.
So moral of the story: get a lawyer to review the agreement.
100%. It sounds like a sale pitch, but it's not.
Sometimes I get all these ads on Instagram saying, there's this new development in, I don't know, in Pickering,
100%.
New homes coming up in 2029. So come over and, sign over.
Okay, you want to hear a scary story? You want to hear, and also technically half scary story, half tip to your viewers. So what developers, not all of them do it. There are really good developers out there, but some developers, they're actually like, say for instance, I'm a friend of yours, Joab, go check out this builder. Today they're opening a new thing, and it's like, I'm pretty sure it's going to sell out right away. It's like a new neighborhood. You could sign. I'm pretty sure in one day all the houses are gone. You go line up. You're lining up for like hours just to buy your first house ever. You're excited. You saved up for it. When you get to the door, you find this beautiful house, right? Let's say 2,000 to 3,000 square feet, beautiful with kids and a dog. You picture your whole family in there. You're super excited, right? Now they're like, sign this agreement, right? What are you going to think? Right now, we want to play it safe. It's your biggest event. You want to get a lawyer to review it. Now there's a new thing where legally they can do this, where they say you have like, I think they say like you have like 3 or 4 hours to get a lawyer to review it from where you're signing it. So most people are not going to call a lawyer.
They're just going to go ahead and sign it.
They're not going to go and come back, right? In 4 hours. They're just like, how can I get a lawyer? How can I call a lawyer? I didn't know this was coming. Oh my God, I thought I would have at least a day. I kid you not, hours. Maybe they might give you 24 hours because they can't legally. And so you sign it. It's a new tactic that I've heard. My clients just got stuck with it. Back in the days, it was a 7 or 10 day cooling off period. And I could be wrong. I don't know if it was like by law, but it was just a standard that you'd always see. It was like 7 days or 10 days you get a lawyer to review it. Some were pretty bad. Some were like 48 hours. But now they're like hours, like 2 hours.
And 4 hours. That's legal.
Technically, yeah, they're allowed to, because you're telling them like, you don't have to sign this because did I force you? Did I put a gun to your head? No,
you didn't.
I said,
you're not
please,
putting a gun to
sir, leave. There's a door right there. I'm like, leave. You could leave. But
nobody put a gun to your head.
Your like dream home is sitting right in front of you. That's how they're very smart. They're sales guys. You have to understand. They're good at what they do. I'm good at what I do because I'm a lawyer. But as a lawyer, we understand them because we understand, I guess, psychology. We understand the human nature. We understand how people do these like somewhat unethical sales pitches. And as a real estate lawyer, we know the game, right? I know really game. People try to fraud me. They tried and failed. But it's because they think that there are. I guess I'm clever. That's why I guess I was somewhat of a troublemaker when I was little. But I think outside the box. That's why I try to beat them to the punch, even if they're trying to hustle me or trying to manipulate me, if I will. I'm trying to beat them to the punch. I'm like, how would I manipulate myself? Well, I see what they're doing. Oh, it's kind of clever, but it sucks that I already figured it out.
Yeah.
So that's like a tip. But you see how scary that is. Like, imagine you want to sign this. You're with your fiance, just sitting right next to you, and you're just like, oh, you're like 4 hours. Like, am I gonna call a lawyer? Like, oh my god, I thought my Niro's a lawyer. Like, my best friend's a lawyer, but Niro's not available. He's at the cottage right now.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
You're gonna sign it most likely, and you're screwed like
but
that.
But it's so. You got to give it to them. It's such a well thought through sales pitch. That's how good these guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say, I know I scared the crap out of your viewers, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure they're all like, hopefully on their feet, like, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joab. And we're like, Niro.
Important information.
Builders hate me. Builders hate me. But you know what? I didn't grow up with money, so I understand how hard it is to work. Like, for your first $1,000, I know how hard it is. Just $1,000 is. How hard I worked back in the days just to get my first $1,000. It would go like seconds on like bills and this and that, and then that's why I don't like. I guess I give away all these tips, and I feel bad for people because I remember how hard it was for especially like first generation immigrants who came to this country, and they made like 20, 30, 40, 50K. Like, they blood, sweat, and tears. They put their kids to school and somehow even putting their kids to school, they still managed to save up 50K. It's insane. And they work at like certain labor jobs you wouldn't even think you could save this kind of money, but they did it so well, and they worked like 2-3 dead end jobs or just hard labor jobs. And they make this money, and boom, a builder or someone that pretended to be a builder or a bad mortgage broker. There are good builders, there are good mortgage brokers, but there are also bad ones. And then their life savings go because they just trusted the wrong person, or they just listened to the wrong friend or neighbor that said, hey, just go and sign. Like, it's fine, I did it. And they just like, oh, my neighbor wouldn't, throw me wrong. They never doesn't care. Yeah, they're not experienced in that way, but it's human error. At the end of the day, it's human error. So that's why things happen. So that's why I go out of my way to tell people, like, this is how you save money. Because my parents could have been one of them, right? So imagine a lawyer like me told an immigrant family, hey, be careful, this can happen. Be careful with builders. You can save a lot of money, thousands of dollars. And they're like, oh my God, we almost signed it the other day. Yeah. See? So hopefully all your viewers just benefit, hopefully.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking about, I was watching the news recently, maybe a year ago, and there's this case that came up where someone has sold someone else's home without the owner knowing.
That's me, yeah.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, it's right there on the wall on the CBC. You're talking about the CBC thing where they pretended to be the owners.
Damn,
you honestly didn't
know
that?
Was you. I didn't know that was...
Even your viewers are probably going to think you're pretending. You actually didn't know?
Honestly, I'm not pretending.
No, it's right there.
I saw it on the CBC app.
Yeah, it's right there, CBC. Yeah, I was the lawyer.
Damn, tell me about it.
Yeah. So
what happened? I mean, are you allowed to talk about what happened?
Yeah. It's on the papers, right? I guess I am allowed to since it's on the paper. But
you know what? I didn't know that was you.
I thought it was for the show. I'm like, is he messing with me?
No. Honestly, I'd seen the thing on the the research I did about you was totally different.
Because you probably researched real estate.
Yeah, my research for you was on criminal law, which is where we're gonna go into. But I didn't do a lot of research on real estate because we're just gonna gloss over it. Yeah. Tell me about it.
So technically it was my clients who were pretending to be the owners. And like we were bamboozled too. We were fooled. Yeah. And we pretty much did like 90% of the deal, like 95 if anything. And we caught them at the last second. It wasn't even us. It was like the bank that kind of like red flagged it.
The client was pretending
to be the actual owners. And
so you were representing.
I was the lawyer for the fraudsters.
Damn.
Yeah.
Holy. How did that make you feel when you learned that they were?
It hit my pride, I'll be honest. But pride as in like, I'm like, they hustle the hustler kind of thing. Like, it's like I'm not a manipulator, as in like I always think like 3-4 steps ahead. But then there was still like, I guess like one more step to be made, and then their scam is complete. And I guess I stopped them right at the last step. Yeah. But 99% was done pretty much.
So how did they come to you?
They like just like some of my clients Google. They just Googled me, and then they're like, "Are you
Toronto's greatest family lawyer?"
Real estate lawyer. But yeah, it was just I did do something that other lawyers don't do and we're not trained to do. And that's what kind of separated me from your average lawyer. Yeah. Because I did something that lawyers don't do, is we're not trained to do it. So you can't blame a lawyer for not doing it. What I did was I actually went to the house physically and I knocked on doors. So we're not trained to do that. Yeah. But I guess I was bored. I'm like, hey, it couldn't hurt. Like, let's just go by the house, not too far from here. Went, knocked on the doors, got lucky. The next day, they didn't know I knew. We kind of played it off.
So you went to the house. You met the owners of the home.
I didn't meet the owners. I met the neighbors.
Yeah, and
by luck. And the neighbors,
yeah, and you asked them if the home is being sold or something?
No, I told them, I'm like, do you know the owners and stuff like that? And they said, yes, we know the owners. And they're actually not here. We actually even have the keys to their house. We watched the house when they're gone. The owners are actually in China, like traveling for like 6-7 months. They're like, what do you mean you sold the house? So I laughed. I actually laughed right away. And I'm like, okay, ma'am, thank you for telling me. I'm like, I'll speak to you tomorrow. I'm like, I did sell that. I told them, like, I sold the house straight up. And they're like, what do you mean you hold that? I'm like, thanks for telling me. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. And then I just made a plan right away. I'm like, how can I get them? Because they have no clue I know, right? My own clients.
So you told your clients that you sold the home?
We did. We actually did sold the home. We actually did. We sold the home.
Okay.
We caught it before. It was the money. You have to always follow the money. Once the money's gone, pretty
That's
much
it.
you're done.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. I stopped the money from getting to them pretty much. Well, the bank did. The 100% the bank helped me, but I caught it. I called the bank. I'm like 100% they're fraudsters. I thought they were my clients. I didn't even know if they were fraudsters at one point because the bank asked me at one point to verify. I'm like, are these your clients? And I'm like, yeah, we just sold the house. I'm like, okay, because this happened. And if you tell me right now these are your clients, I will release, like it was like under $1 million. I will release all this money to them. If you said that, and I got nervous. I'm like, no bank has ever called and said that. They do it sometimes. I'm like, hey sir, did you draft a check for this much money for this guy? I'm like, yes. They do that to verify. But the way CIBC did it this time was different.
Yeah.
And they even said we got like one of our ID things, like it comes like a red light if it's like something fraudulent. And this is the worst part. I didn't understand this logically because I think my staff and I were literally laughing on the phone while we were talking to the CIBC lady.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did you? Why do you have major concerns? I'm like, the account was very new, sir. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, it's very new. I'm like, how new? She's like, you're the first transaction. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, okay, that made me suspicious. Then she's like, when she gave me her, I don't know which one it was. I think it was the PR card. The driver's license was real. They swiped it. It came real. It was a real ministry issued. They fooled Service Ontario. So they got a real driver's license. But the PR card, I think it was fake or something. And they swiped it. And I think like a red light flashed on the CIBC equipment. But I asked the lady, I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean it's fake? And the lady's like, the machine malfunctions all the time. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, what's the point of the machine then? And she's like, it could be real, but we need you to tell us. If this is your client, we'll let go of the money right now. So like, if I said yes, they're done. Like, and so I guess intuition kicked in. And I'm like, hold on to the money. Just create a random excuse and tell them tomorrow it'll be released. I just need a day. So I don't know what to do. I just kind of winged it. Did a little backman thing. Went on detective mode. Just kind of, I'm like, hey.
So that's when you went to the home to check it out.
Very, very low chance of success. Very low chance. I was like, screw it. Did it. Got very lucky. Someone spoke and said, yes, they're not even here. And then we kind of turned the other way around and got the bank manager to call the police, told them to go get the money. The money's ready. But we had the police already waiting, and that's how they got caught. Yeah, and they got caught drugs. So one of them had like a bag of cocaine. I think they were like a dealer. One of them had a bag of cocaine. And the exciting part is last year I was supposed to be a witness to like finish off the case. Two of them, there's three of them. Two of them pled guilty. And one of them made a fake passport and went to Hong Kong. Like got out of the country. Disappeared. Yeah, he's gone. He's probably on a boat, like living life right now. Yeah, but I don't know how they did it. They're just so good at it, I guess. But two of them pled guilty, and one. That's why I didn't have to go to trial to be a witness because they already pled guilty. Yeah. But that's the.
How often does this happen?
It does happen, not like as often as you think, but it's not publicized. The reason why is that if I were to be completely honest with you. And this is kind of exciting for your viewers. Right when this happened, and I went on like globally, all over the news. Like people from Nova Scotia were like contacting me. Like even judges were like, you make lawyers look good on you, son, kind of thing. And I was like, all right, it feels nice. Yeah. So when I got out there, people I knew, I would never ever say their names. People I knew who've been doing real estate for a while call me like, Niro, it happened to me twice. It happened to me 3 times. It happened to me once. I was just so embarrassed. I didn't want to tell you. Yeah. And then after I saw this, I'm like, I'm happy you stopped one of them. Then I found out I was the first one in Ontario to stop it. Yeah. So that's why it was a big thing. Literally the first lawyer in Ontario to stop it.
Yeah, because they always get caught flat-footed.
Guess how long the scam's been going on? Just guess. Like before, I was the first lawyer to catch it, right? Guess how long before I caught it?
Decades, I guess?
Just guess. Guess a number.
I don't know. What? 15 years maybe?
33 or 34 years.
Wow.
That's been happening, like this scam. Because I guess because of technology, it's more faster and advanced. And then so it's been happening for that long. But very quietly and not as often, but it does happen. Yeah, it does happen. It's like, how often does a bank get robbed? It does happen. It's very quiet. It's not like publicized everywhere, but banks do get robbed very, very often. especially in America more than you at Canada. But it does happen in Canada a lot, but you don't see it because
publicized.
media don't publicize it too much. We don't want to scare the public. We don't want to tell them, hey, like, don't go to your average banks because this is the ratio. 1 in 10 banks get robbed. So people would be scared to go to banks, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the profits would go down. So we don't want to publicize and scare the public that it's dangerous to go to banks. So even in America, the statistics are crazy in America.
Yeah.
Canada, it does happen. I don't want to say the number and scare away your viewers, but they could Google it themselves. Let's just say, I don't want to scare away your viewers.
So as a homeowner,
Yeah.
what should I do to protect myself against
Before
someone
or prior?
I don't know, just protect myself against someone stealing my home, selling my home to
100% title insurance. That's the go-to. Title insurance. That's just it's an insurance that
What is that?
it's simply an insurance policy, like a car insurance kind of thing, but it's for your title and like it helps you from fraud. It's rare that you'll ever use it. I'm talking about super rare. I would, like, if I had to be statistically just guess, 95% chance you'll never lose this policy.
Yeah.
5% chance you will.
Yeah.
And then that 5% chance you do use it, you're crying that you had it. And it's so cheap, as in, like, you only pay once. There's no like monthly or annual fee. And you pay, sometimes it's a couple $100, sometimes it's just like 1,000 or 2,000.
Yeah.
And you pay it once and you have it for that house forever, just for that house.
Yeah.
And if something does happen, like, for instance, I use your identity and I go to a lawyer's house and pretend to be you, but it's my face but your name.
Yeah.
And you already own a house, I could easily put a second mortgage on your house. And you find out years later that you owe someone $100K, that you borrowed someone $100K, but it wasn't you.
Yeah.
It was me because I took your ID.
And put your face
So
on it.
what do you do now? Because you never signed anything, you're like panicking, like, this guy's coming after me, my house, there's a mortgage on my house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a remortgage, right? You know how you have to do every couple of years, you have to do a refinance. You can't do it now because this fake mortgage is there. And what am I gonna do? You're panicking, right? So thank God you have title insurance. You explain the situation to them, and majority of the time there's like a small deductible or something, and they take care of it for you.
Yeah.
If you didn't have it, it sucks. Like
yeah. I mean, the home is gone. You probably lost all your money.
It sucks. It's rare because a lawyer wouldn't even do a deal without title insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are times where very, very certain situations where you can waive those insurances. But if you particularly are saying, how do you want to protect myself as a homeowner? It's more about, like, how can I get the best for my buck kind of thing, your investment. Like, should I rent it? Should I renovate it? Should I live in it?
Yeah, and specifically what I also mean is, how can I protect myself from these fraudsters who would sell my home without my knowledge?
Never leave, I guess. Stay home, don't go on vacation. That's usually what happens when you go on vacation. Yeah.
Do you think your tenant would sell it? Is that possible?
It's so hard. You just, I guess, be careful with your IDs. Be careful with your mail.
Yeah.
I think that's how they usually access it. They get into your mail. Be careful with all the documents. Make sure you shred them. Maybe people are catching it when you're recycling. You don't throw away paper properly.
Buy a shredder.
They're just so like, you never know how smart they are. They're just so good, to be honest. To be honest, like, it's cause, let's just say I have a past and I know people from that, let's call it the dark world, or what would you call it? Think of it, the dark web. You know how they have the dark web, but this is reality. So I guess that I grew up in the best neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But I know people from the dark world, and they're very clever.
Yeah.
And to the point where you could be safe, but they know people where they can get information where you drop your guard, and that's where the information comes from. It's not always your mailbox. It's because you're freely giving information to certain organizations that you think is safe, and they know people from these organizations. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for sure we're gonna leave it at that.
But I think the viewers understand. Like, it's hard for you to stop it because you're like, do you want me to give you an example?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll give you an example, and don't judge me for it. But I know someone that they're so very well connected, insanely connected. Like, they can get any information from almost every bank, a lender in Ontario, and they don't work for the bank. They're actually they're not mortgage guys, they're not bank people. They just know so many people, every bank, every hospital, and I forgot the other thing. Every bank, every hospital,
insurance,
and I think it's like every Canada Post office or something. Like, they know someone pretty much at Canada Post, and like higher ups to the point. Yeah, and it like minutes, if not hours. So yeah, like, you could literally, if I contact them, like, I need you to find out where this person lives and what their phone number is, I could probably get it within hours. I haven't spoken to this person in years. I don't go to them. But it's funny that I know people who it's very unethical, 100%. That's why I don't go to them. I would need it for my job, if anything. But I don't. I actually take the hard way. And you hire like private investigators and all that. You spend thousands of dollars. But there's people out there that they're so well connected. And they've been doing it so like professionally for so many years. Like that's their world, right? It's their dark world. And I know them personally, but I know them from years ago. They just like grew up with me when we were children. And they still do it as adults. But we don't talk as much, but I know once in a while when we see each other, we kind of say hi and bye. But they'll update me. I'm like, yeah, it's easier now. They'll casually just be like, this is how we do it. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, like I was like, are you kidding? Like, we don't have a chance, do we? He's like, brother, it's just like technology is just so good. It's like I could do it from the comfort of my house. I could like he could do illegal things from the comfort of his couch. Can you believe that? Like technology is so advanced that the Frosters are doing things at the comfort of their house. Like, the irony.
Man, damn. You know,
it's the fun part is, I don't know if it's fun, but the exciting part is that I get to see the good and I get to see the really bad. And I love that. I love that about my job. I love seeing that.
And you know, I think it's also great that you're seated here with me today, because now I want to ask you something. You are before the show started, we were talking about consuming TV shows, and one of the TV shows we talked about was Suits. And what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about criminal defense lawyers, especially from TV or from true crime podcasts?
Criminal defense lawyers.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually have a good answer to this. The most common, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm not answering it right, but the most common question we get as criminal lawyers, and I'm pretty sure every criminal lawyer is probably like, if they are listening to the podcast, they're 100% like, yep, we get this question, is how do you do your job with pretty much a smile on your face? And what that means is like the moral aspects. Like how do you defend someone that you know is innocent or is guilty or is like they're just like they did something so terrible. Like how do you do that? How do you wake up at night and wash your face and like just get ready to go to work? And it's because we are so privileged and lucky to see the world in a different perspective that you don't see it in.
What's that perspective?
And that perspective, it's a beautiful thing. That I think that's why criminal lawyers love what they do, and they can sleep at night, even though like some of the clients are terrible. They are guilty. Some of them are not. Some of them are just very, very misunderstood, and they're super, super innocent to the point where the average public will think like demonize this person, like terrible, horrible person, and then we know how innocent this person is, like insanely innocent to the point people just don't know the real story. And once you get it out there and they spend thousands of dollars and you win your case, it sucks. They're like, I was telling the truth the entire time. I kid you not. Like I was like, Niro, what the hell? They would literally come up to me like, what? Like, I'm like, sir, this is why you hire. There's people like us to help you speak the truth. And there are people who make mistakes, wrong place, wrong time. But that you're asking about like the beautiful perspective that we get to see is to answer like the moral questions about being a criminal lawyer is there's two sides to a story. For instance, like when a person, for instance, like I'll give you an example. It was actually my first trial ever, and I loved it. It was the first beautiful experience. And it would actually, if I didn't do well on this trial, I'm not even gonna lie, I told my staff openly, like very loud. I'm very old school pride. I don't know why I do it, but I'm like, if I lose this case, I'm not being a criminal lawyer. It's like, why? He's like, if I lose my first case, I don't deserve to be a criminal lawyer. Like it's just make it or break it. It's gonna live with me forever. I'm gonna think I'm a terrible lawyer losing it. Thank God I won.
Well, you're here now. You won, right?
And it was an innocent guy. Like it was a really good case. It was it was a sexual assault case, and right away, like the viewers would be like, "Oh my God, like sexual assault! Like wow, like I can't believe he's defending someone who's charged for sexual assault." The best part about this case is that he was actually innocent, and it was just like kind of like he met the wrong person, and I guess that person kind of just panicked and like it's better to say this than the actual truth, so they went with the lie, and it ended up she never thought I guess it would end up getting him arrested. And it was just like kind of like out of a movie, and it happened, and I won the case easily only because he was actually very innocent, and it took him thousands of dollars. He did pay a lot of money. It took him hours of prep. It was a 5-day trial, my first trial with murder. I wasn't trained as a criminal lawyer. I was trained as a real estate lawyer, so I don't even have background experience. So this was kind of like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? And thank God I did so well. And that's how you know you're meant for this field, because you weren't like really prepared to win the case, and you gave it your all, and you won. And you beat like people who do this for a living. Like the Crown does it for a living. The judge is like there every single day, and I won. And then they had no clue it was my first trial. I even asked them at the end, like, "Do you guys know?" And they actually said, "No, you did pretty well." Even the Crown, who I got along with, the opposing side. I asked him, like, I'll be honest with you, it was my first trial. How did I do? He's like, Niro, you did really well. You should even give up think about considering criminal more than real estate and pursuing criminal more. And I was like, that is so cool. Getting the person you're going against to say that to you. I'm like, that's inspiring. I'm like, wow, they actually said pursue it. And so the perception is that he was actually innocent. She said he did certain things, sexual assault. And then when I got the story out, it was so obvious that she was lying. But poor guy, he was considered a sexual assault, like a womanizer, the sweetest dude ever, the biggest bear, like you want to hug him, like that kind of client. And I felt so bad. He was so ashamed that he's like such a good kid. He was raised well, educated, like everything done in seconds. He was doing research for me. I was like, you're like literally the best client. Like no client does research for you. Like randomly, he's like, Niro, I just found out this, I found out that. And then I think it was so sad. I think it was the last day of trial. And he already kind of knew we already won case. I did that well. I'm not even tooting my own horn. I think I did well. I was surprised. And I did so well. It was in the bag. Like I did really well. It was obvious that we didn't, like, she kind of got caught for lying. And he's like, he was actually sympathizing with her. I'm like, are you kidding me? You lost so much time, years, money, your reputation, got kicked out of school. You almost lost immigration because of this girl, and you're sympathizing with her. That's how good of a guy he was. Like, I don't know why she did it till this day. I don't know why she said those things. So we had the privilege of seeing this beautiful thing, which is called the perspective of the other side of the story. Not the other side of the story is not always like the right side, but sometimes it is. But we're 99 or not. I'm not even joking. Like it's literally like 95% of the world, the public is just hating on this one person. You're a terrible person. At one side, women are just hating on it. It's like, no, don't even come near us. It's like, don't even go around these areas. You're just such a terrible person. And then there's one person who's like, you know what, come here. Yeah, let me shake your hand. Nice to meet you. Let me let you feel what it's like to be a human again. And that's the criminal lawyer. See, like how awesome that is. But but that's the beautiful part, that we don't need to go out of our way to explain that to the public. We want to be the guy that when no one's listening to this one, the world is not listening to the one guy.
You are the person.
We are the one that they listen to, and we don't need to tell that to the world. We don't care. But that's where the question is: how do you sleep at night? We're like, we sleep pretty well at night. It's because we are the 1% that listens. It's kind of cool. Maybe I should tattoo that.
If someone is arrested in Toronto today or tonight, what's the first few things that they should do, and what should they not do?
Oh, that's an easy one, man. First thing they should say is, don't be rude, and you tell them, thank you, but respectfully, I wish to remain silent, so that you're not coming off harsh. And then the second thing you say is, I would like to speak to a lawyer. And then after that,
the third thing,
you shut up.
Okay.
You shut. I like, if I could cuss on your podcast, I would cuss.
Well, you can. We'll just,
So we'll bleep it out. So shut the bleep that. But please, it's so crucial. And like, do you want me to give you an example? Like how people know, we hear it in movies, be quiet, don't say anything to the cops. But people don't understand how it's applied. They just think they could talk about random stuff. And that when it comes to like, hey, are you the person that did this? Were you the person with the weapon? That's when they be quiet. Like that's when they should shut up, kind of thing. No, it's from the get-go. I'm talking about, like, what's your name? Niro. Where are you from? Like I'm Sri Lankan. Like, where are you coming from? I'm like, I wish to remain silent. Well, to you, wasn't that a simple question? He was just asking me where I was coming from. Right? He's not saying like, did you do this? Are you speeding? Were you the one that ran away from the store after it was robbed? He's not saying like very incriminating things. What is he asking me? Where I'm from? What would you think? Would you think that was a harmless question, or do you think?
Well, it sounds like very harmless.
Like, like he's just asking me where I'm from, right? So if I wanted to be a smartass, I'd be like, I'm from Sri Lanka. That's my ethnicity. You know, he would 100% be like, you're a lawyer, or you're just being a douche. But if I want to answer it, so say I'm saying I'm officer, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm actually coming from my friend's house. It was his birthday. How was that? Was that bad? Did I say anything like?
Well, that sounds very innocent.
Yeah. What did I say? I just said friend's house. Best friend. What's so bad about going to a best friend? And it's his birthday. And
you're probably telling the truth. You know?
It is the truth. Right? But what did I just do? Do you think I did anything incriminating?
Probably.
Yeah, I did. So that's the best part. So no one would see that coming. All he said was, "Where are you coming from?" Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just coming from my friend's house. It was his birthday. You know, I did nothing wrong, right? Right when I said friend's house, now he has a reason to say most likely there was alcohol involved. I can't say I was at the office where there's no alcohol. But that would probably be the best answer I would want to say. Like, maybe I was actually coming from the office, but I accidentally said maybe it's better if I say I come from my friend's house because late at night. He won't believe me if I say if I'm coming from the office. Yeah. Like I work late. I'm just gonna say I'm from my friend's house because he does live close by. So you actually think you're doing yourself a favor by saying something that's not even true because you think the cops are not gonna believe you.
Yeah.
But isn't it better just not to say nothing?
Of course.
Yeah, just be like respectfully.
Well, now I think about it now.
So I would now associate you being at your friend's house with alcohol. And say you were even DD, and there was alcohol at the party, it gives them more of a reason to use it against you. Sir, he said when he got arrested, he came from his friends. Or he even said it was his birthday. We caught him at 1 a.m. Most likely he just left after having a couple of drinks. We asked him what time the party started. He says 6. We don't know, but we found out later after further investigation that there was a lot of alcohol at this party. We went to the house and talked to his friend. His friend didn't want to lie. His friend said everything. His friend said he had 12 beers that night. What did you say? All you
said is I came from a friend's birthday party.
Yeah, that's the best part about doing criminal law.
And so let me ask you, if a cop asked me this question without telling me I'm under arrest, and I answered them, would that put me in trouble? So let's say they didn't tell me, hey, Job, you're under arrest. They just walked up to me like, hey, where are you coming from? So can I still go like, you know what? I don't want to talk to you.
It's hard because you're going into the legality of everything. Like I would have to technically, you're right. You are right. You have to be arraigned. Arraigned is when they do you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But people think if you say anything before a cop arraigns you, like says the right stuff, like you have the right to remain silent and stuff, before they said that they can't use it against you, but they can. And it depends. But it's case by case. There are times where, for instance, the police arrest me, sir, you're on whatever, they arrest me. And then I started to say, oh, it wasn't me. It's my friend's gun. It's my friend's gun. It's my friend's gun. Right. But they already arrested me. I have the handcuffs on. Right. Yeah. So technically 100%, all of that is out the window because they still haven't said, sir, you're getting under arrest, or you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to speak to a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. If you can't afford a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. We can there's a whole speech. Right. So that's very criminating. But what if, for instance, I'm surrendering myself, right? I know I did something wrong. I'm going into the police station, and the police are like, "Come in. We found your car somewhere, and we know it's your car. It's clearly under your name, and it's messed up and crashed into a store. We just want to talk to you. We don't have they don't know if it's him or not, but it's my my car. So, but the cops obviously want to talk to me. I go in, I just panic. They know I'm in trouble, technically, right? I'm going in myself knowing that I did something wrong last night. Yeah. So I panicked and I said, I'm so sorry I left. I just panicked. I shouldn't have left. I was just it was just I was so scared. I already have a ticket under my insurance. And I just that's why I left. I didn't mean to leave. I just panicked and I left. Technically, they didn't say you have the right to remain silent, right? They called the arraignment. They didn't arraign me. Yeah. But because I just walked in, I know I was already going into something that's a police station, right? I wasn't the police didn't drag me to the police station. So because I'm going in, and then the first thing I do when they talk to the police before they even say anything, they didn't even ask me questions. I'm just I was the guy that left. I'm just I didn't mean this, or let's say anything. It's just I'm so sorry. Please, the gun in the car, that's not mine. It's my friend's. Don't think it was mine. Please, I wasn't trying. I just left because it's my car, but I know my friend had a gun in there. It's not my gun. It's my friend's gun. Please don't get me in trouble. But I'm knowing that I'm going to a police station and saying that, they can actually use that and be he said it himself. We didn't even ask him a question. Yeah. So that's allowed sometimes in court. Yeah, but people don't know that's coming, right? They're no. My lawyer said they didn't read my rights. Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom says, so they can't use all that stuff I said about the gun. They can't use it against me. They can. In the real sense, they can. If you want to go really into specifics, it's called spontaneous utterances. Yeah. If the lawyers or wannabe lawyers out there that are looking into it, it's called spontaneous utterances. Yeah. And it's case law that says if this happens and they accidentally emotionally just say stuff, and the cop didn't just hi, just said hi, and then you accidentally said stuff. Hey, it's allowed. To be
safe, don't talk to police.
Yeah.
Don't talk to the cops.
Don't incriminate. Don't incriminate yourself. Yeah.
Well, it seems that even saying hello to them is incriminating enough.
You never know. What if you say you know how bad it is? Because this is how you know I'm a criminal lawyer. If say I was intoxicated, right? I wasn't driving. I was intoxicated, And the cop comes up to me and says, "Hi, sir, how are you?" Right? And I just said, "Hello." Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
That can incriminate me.
Yeah.
He's like, sir, he couldn't say hello properly. He stumbled and slurred his words. It sounded like he said hello. I'm pretty sure client is intoxicated. I kid you not. I kid you not.
Damn.
It tells. I would do it because
Mhm.
we're so used to reading police notes. That's all we do for a living.
Yeah.
Police notes, police notes. We're so that, but we love learning this stuff. We love it.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. But we want to teach everybody. We wish we can hold everybody's hand and like, this is how the real world works.
Yeah.
It is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, even though you joked about saying hello, it's actually so true. Yeah.
You know, when you're talking about all this and you're talking about cars and stuff, I'm thinking about, and I said that when I was doing my research, I realized that the soft underbelly of the legal system kind of is messed up.
Yeah.
Auto theft, man. There's so many cars being stolen right now.
Yeah. Bail reform. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, why are so many young people drawn into it? We're coming to bail reform and talk about that. But why are so many young people involved in this, and what are the consequences for these minors? I mean, why do we have, why is it so easy to steal cars in the first place?
It's not about, you remember I said the beautiful part about seeing both sides of the story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is like your question pretty much applies in that. Like,
yeah.
Yes, what they're doing is terrible. Like, I wouldn't want I have a nice, decent car. I think I have a sports car.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Well, you think you have a sports car? Come on.
I think, yeah, I guess so. And it's an M4. So if my M4 got stolen, I would cry.
Of course.
I would cry because like, it's just, such a car guy. I love cars. I love doing my car thing. And it was just like, oh, it would hurt, right? But at the same time, because I come from a background that doesn't come from money, and I understand inflation, and I understand economy in the real life, and I'm very mature and emotionally intelligent, I could put two together.
Yeah.
So inflation, poverty, desperation, medical bills, someone has sickness, parents back home, all those factor into criminality and mental health as well. 90% of criminality is mental health. So all that influences people to steal cars or whatever because they're desperate. They're so desperate they need to. You don't know what people's situations are. It's not ethical for them to do so. I'm not condoning what they're doing, but there's a reason why they're doing it. They're not doing it because it's just easier. Sometimes that's the only option they have because life hasn't been really unfair to them, and they don't have the options that I had. I feel privileged because my parents gave me these options that other people don't have. So who am I to judge the person that had not even half of the privilege that I had? But I'm there to judge them. Because that's what I mean. I'm lucky to have the beautiful perspective of seeing that world and seeing why people do what they do. Yeah. It's not because they're terrible people. It's people just don't understand their story. And it's so, so sad how people judge criminals and like, oh, terrible person. Yeah, he's stealing a car. Shame on you. They are doing terrible things. I understand that they shouldn't be doing those things. And the crime rate, it's not because they're like, it's so easy to steal cars. It's just the technology is getting so advanced that cars are now Achilles entries, right? And if I were to be completely honest, I had friends back then that did those things. But this is back then before it went like haywire. This was when I was like 15 years ago. I was a kid when this happened. And they were doing it because they're from poverty. Like I would buy these guys lunch and stuff like that. And you know why they were stealing cars back in the days? Like this was like 15 years ago. They were stealing cars so they can, I think, take out like the audio systems. It was like those CD players.
Yeah.
And they take the CD players and they sell it for like $60. And what do you think they do with the $60? They actually like take people on dates, so because they can't afford dates. They're so embarrassed. They're buying lunch because they can't afford lunch.
Or whatever.
But you're thinking, oh, they're just terrible people.
Yeah.
It's just that's the world they grew up in, and I've seen it. I think I'm privileged and lucky to see that. Or else I'd be one of those people like, oh, terrible criminals. Why you're terrible? Like, how do you live at night? It's because you don't see the other world.
Yeah.
I that's the beautiful part of being a criminal. You see that other world. So we don't judge, but crime rate is going up. Like in a way, it is going up in Canada, especially. It's like almost record breaking. And stealing cars are growing up. It's not that theft is easy. It's just technology is so advanced, and these guys are getting smarter with technology that it's easier to get into cars. So it's like I'm making it easier for people to steal into me because I'm advancing technology. I'm buying the newer cars. If I bought the older cars and just put the wheel bearing and all that stuff, actually you could steal cars with the wheel lock now too. I happened to a friend last year. But it's just that's their way of thinking. That's their way of life. And it could have been mine. I'm just lucky I wasn't born in that world, right?
Yeah.
But I think of it as I don't want to be a hypocrite. Who am I to judge that person that did steal? Like, it's because my parents gave me options and privileges that person never came close to happening. and like I'm judging them. Like it's kind of like shame on me in a way,
Mm-hmm.
right? But no one gets to see that.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
And I think
80-90% of the world don't see that.
yeah, this is what makes you, a beautiful criminal lawyer too, because you can actually get to talk about it and, speak about their humanity.
Exactly. It's the
Because
human aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing that because I think it's what I feel like what you're saying is that that's what they have, and that's probably what's gonna, put food on their table or something.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the money that's gonna help their mom pay for their car insurance.
Yeah.
That's the money that's gonna help their dad stay in the retirement home. If I
Yeah.
don't steal this car, I won't make money. My mom can. But sometimes it's just like I want fancy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Not
But
all
if
the
I
reasons
could push
are.
back on that and say that, what they're doing is
It's
it is
not-
important for them to poop on their table.
It is, but sometimes it's not always for the righteous
Yeah.
reason. Sometimes they just want to make money. They
But,
just wanna
but I'm
hustle.
just saying that even if it was for the righteous reason,
Yeah.
it's not the right thing to do, though.
It isn't. It isn't.
Yes,
It
and-
isn't.
and
But who are we to judge them?
Mm-hmm.
Because we grew up with privilege.
Okay.
We grew up with options and but if I grew up in his shoes,
Yeah.
in his or her shoes, where it was like government housing, just like with parents beating you up, no mom to make you lunch, just like terrible parenthood, maybe even sexual trauma, sexual abuse
Yeah.
as growing. No one can even open your mouth. Maybe getting beaten up by siblings or foster homes, and I grew up with nothing. Nobody helping
Yeah.
me with law school options, high school, no clothes to like go out with my friends. I have no thing. I would most likely be those people. I'm not
Yeah.
even exaggerating. I would most likely be a person stealing your car right now.
Yeah.
Because I hate the world. And this is what the world taught me is that the world is very unfair, and you have to be unfair to the world.
Do you think that if
It's
we were
trauma,
friendly
you know.
to everybody and there was options for everybody, then we wouldn't see crime happening at all? Or
You're
in,
right. To me,
cars
that's
and
like a perfect world, and we both know there's no such thing.
stuff? Okay.
But in a perfect world, yes.
Okay.
In a perfect world, in a perfect simulated world, I guess, yes. Like everybody would, if I had the privileges and I was able, and the person, like the homeless person, was able to have the same privileges I was, most likely, maybe even statistically,
Yeah.
they won't be homeless.
But I'm just thinking that aren't there people who are stealing cars and yet they're coming from very wealthy backgrounds? They have.
There are places that do that, but it depends. Like, what do you?
And
Because
they're just doing it because
this
they are.
goes to your theme of your podcast, because you talk about like the art and science, right?
Yeah.
So technically, you're asking me about wealth. Why are wealthy people doing this? But the question is, philosophically, is what do you define wealth?
Okay.
Right? You define wealth, like right now in that scenario, not you. In that scenario, you define wealth as materialistic stuff. This kid grew up. His parents brought him a Mercedes. He has like watches that are worth thousands of dollars. He's wearing chains that are worth more than the cars that he's stealing, right? So that's the wealth. He has wealth, right? Why is he doing this?
Yeah.
But what if that same kid that just parents neglected him?
Yeah.
Never, just babysitter, boarding school, never seen him. Just they had a driver take him to school. He has a Rolls Royce that drives him to his soccer games and everything. But parents don't spend time with it. They're just like, we're making money so you can live this life, right?
So you never had
This
like
kid
any
is not really.
molding.
Is he wealthy?
Yeah.
Now tell me, is he wealthy? He rarely gets to see his parents. Both his parents work. I'm just making up a situation, and he gets to see his parents maybe once or twice a week, because his parents are always traveling and working, and then they video call him and stuff like that. There are kids that haven't. So dude, he's filthy rich, but his parents get to see him 2, maybe 3. Let's go off. Let's spoil him. 3 times a week he gets to see his parents. Is that kid wealthy? Would you define that kid as wealthy? It's hard to.
Well, it's hard to say. Well,
See what I
materialistically,
mean?
they
You
are
see-
wealthy, but
Yeah, exactly.
they are lacking in the sense of, I don't know, parental
Affection.
affection. Yes.
In wealth, there's no affection. Love, no affection.
Yeah.
Social skills, no affection. Just inspiration, motivation, just loving and all that. Probably zero. Like not zero, just maybe like 10-20%. Whereas kids who live in poverty, like welfare, housing, they're always close to their parents because their parents always come home. They're working, but they always come home to their kids because they have to, because the kids have to be showered, because they can't hire a chauffeur, they can't hire a nanny, they have to do it. So that love, this kid would die for. This kid would probably trade in the Rolls Royce his parents gave just for maybe a 1 month.
affection,
I would say 1 month of the affection that the kid at government housing gets.
Yeah.
Because he gets to see his dad every day shower him. You see
sitting-
what I mean by wealth? So
Damn.
philosophically, it's how you define wealth.
And sitting here with you now, I see why you are so comfortable doing what you do, because you see the other side of the story too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, at least that's
Yeah.
what I feel.
I think that's the beautiful part about being a lawyer, and it's unfortunate because not all, you would think that every lawyer gets this privilege. It's no, it's actually a very low percentage of lawyers that get to have this privilege of the other perspective. Because even lawyers, and a lot of them are very close-minded. Why? It's because we're programmed. That's how we're raised. It's how our parents raised us. It's how school raised us. It's how our neighbors, our family and friends raised us. And then it's so hard for us to think outside the box because we're so programmed to think this is society, this is society. And then look at all the things I said to you in like 45 minutes, 30 minutes that just like shocked you just because I just opened your mind. Yeah, but it's just insane. I wish, it's kind of a cool topic, but it's unfortunate, and I'm telling you this honestly and truly, and I don't even care if people don't like me for saying this. Even lawyers don't have the other perspective because they're even trained to think close-minded, and that's the, I think, beautiful truth and beautiful thing about being a criminal lawyer, because we're trained to look at that other perspective. We're almost forced into it. We're like, why are my clients doing this? Like, why are they doing this? It's almost like we see it. We're forced into seeing it, and then we see the pattern of their behavior, and we understand the other world. And I guess and then I get to now tell you on the podcast.
One of the things that's been facing public backlash is what you just talked about here, and I think what's happening out there. So bail reform. What I've seen, I maybe to give perspective here, is that what I've seen previously is that very many of people who've been arrested, they are released the next day, basically, because they have great people like you defending them.
This is where the liberals come in handy.
And so now I feel like, there's this public push for a reform to this bail system, so that repeat offenders don't just keep being released back into the public to keep offending. So I think you're going to say something about that, and I want to hear what you have to say.
It is somewhat of a political perspective too.
Okay.
Like, say for instance, how the recent federal election, if the conservative wins, bail reform would have been like probably a lot different from what it is now. Clearly, because the liberals won, it is the way it is, and it is ups. There are ups and downs. And it's hard because I'm going to have I'll be honest with you. And doing this because I love what you're doing in your podcast. And I shouldn't be saying half the stuff I am saying. But as a criminal lawyer, we do and we don't want bail reform. Because we don't want our job to be harder.
Yeah.
At the same time. But at the same time, the reason why bail reform is so hard, and I think, this is just my theory, I'm not the best criminal lawyer. Every lawyer has a different perspective. And even if criminal lawyers hear this podcast, they'd be like, no, he's wrong. I think it's because of this. Because there's so many different perspectives. I think bail reform is based on constitutional rights. So you can arrest someone, you can put someone in jail, and then whatever, they stole a car, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't have a legit reason to keep them in jail, because they have constitutional, we're humans, you have to give them their constitutional rights, then you can't keep them in there. And that's where criminal lawyers come in and we justify it. But if this guy did it 2-3 times, then it's like there is a constitutional reason to violate his rights, because his rights is to life, liberty, security of a person. Like, you're allowed to be free in the public. That can be now constitutionally violated in a way because it balances it's called the probative value is higher than the prejudicial effect. That's what that's a lawyer term. It pretty much, if I had to summarize it, it pretty much means that the harm done justifies the reason for the harm done.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. So I'm harming him by violating his rights by putting him in jail. It's reason because he stole 4 cars. We let him out. He stole again. He let him out. Stole again. It's 4th time now. We're done. Like, no, we gave him a chance. This is the reason why we're violating his rights. So that's why these things happen. Because the first time it happens, it's the first time. There's a reason why we can get them out, because we have all these protections and these supervisors and all this stuff. They put safeguards. It's not like they just release them. There's always safeguards. They always say, we'll let this person go, but the mom has to supervise. The mom has to check up on them every 2 hours, and they go out and steal or whatever. But people are thinking that. Sorry, people are thinking that. For instance, I get arrested for stealing your car. My lawyer comes. I'm just I'm out, and within 3 hours, I just leave because my lawyer came and said something fancy. Lawyer's like, "Hey, you don't have enough of my client. Like, you don't have anything on him. Let him out. That's not how it works at all. Sometimes they have everything. They caught you stealing the car. Like, what do you mean you don't have it? You were there. Like, they caught you at the scene, right? You were there inside the car, and they caught you outside the car, and they ran after you and caught you down. How is the lawyer getting him out? It's because the lawyer said, right now, you caught him, you have the evidence, blah, blah, blah. But he still has the right to say why he did what he did or what happened and all that stuff, to say their piece. So he has the right to go home.
Yeah.
We don't feel safe. You know what? We'll get the mom to supervise. We'll get the dad to supervise.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that if he gets out of hand, well, they will call the cops and be like, my son ran away.
Yeah.
So those are usually the safeguards. So it's not like, because my lawyer came and said something fancy. Section 332 of the law says you can't keep my client because I'm so smart. No.
It is because there's
a
all these
lot of
other
legwork. There's a
safeguards.
lot of legwork. But remember I told you there's a lot of tedious stuff that the Suits, the shows, the TV shows like Suits don't show?
Yeah.
This
So
is
that
the tedious
the
stuff
tedious
that
stuff,
you, the public, don't know. They just think we come, say a fancy word, and that we're just such a fancy lawyer that people are just like, oh my God, this guy's been a lawyer for 10 years. We should just let him out because he's just so smart. No, that's not how it works. Even the lawyers who've been doing it for 30, 40 years, even lawyers that I see and I get intimidated by, they have to do the tedious work that I do.
Yeah.
That guy that just started a couple of years ago, 7, 8 years ago, the guy that's been doing it for 40, 50 years still has to do the work I do. It has nothing to do with like being the best lawyer in Ontario. But yeah, that's how bail reform works. You see, like the first attempt, you get in trouble. The third, fourth attempt, you know what? Screw it. We're violating your rights. So bail reform, they just want it to be what bail reform, what I think the government wants to do is pretty much, I get arrested the first time, never let him out. Stick him in jail. He just doesn't deserve to get out. We caught him stealing a car. The cop caught him at the scene running away. There's no way he's leaving jail. He's going to be here until we finish his case. He's going to be in jail, which is traumatizing, and most likely he'll come out worse as a criminal if you stay in jail for too long.
At least that's what...
And he deserves...
Yeah,
we don't know that he's 100% guilty. We know that we caught him, but we're just going to let him suffer there until he finishes his case. So we could easily unjustify that. Yeah. We know that's not justified. Like, it's very easy to prove to court. Like, no, you're going too far. Like, this kid's going to be traumatized. He's going to be a 10 times worse criminal if you keep him inside, because he's going to be traumatized whatever he sees in jail for his first criminal offense ever in his entire life. 20 years this kid was in Canada, born and raised, born in Scarborough General Hospital, never made an incident. Now he's 21 years old and he stole a car, and you're telling him he has to suffer in jail for 8 months until his case is over? Hell no. Are you crazy? Like, everybody would get crucified for doing that to the media would destroy the courts.
Yeah.
They would crucify the courts just for letting a young... Yes, he made a mistake. But was it enough to justify a traumatizing effect of being in jail for 8 months until his case was over? Hell no.
I think that's why you're Canada's Toronto's greatest lawyer.
I wish. Oh my God, people are going to hate me.
Since we're talking about this, changes to the, bail reforms.
Yeah.
I heard recently they are making changes to, I think, the bill on privacy. So the county government is introducing Bill C-26, and what they're saying is that they're giving cops the rights to bug your phone and look into your phone and see what's going on.
They could, but it's more like circumstantial, not like privacy invasion, as in they already do that. By the way, like
exactly.
Wiretaps are like a bit of a thing.
they do that right now.
They've been doing that for like a long time ago.
Yeah, but I feel like what this bill is introducing is giving them the right to just come into your phone, even without getting a court order. I think right now they can do it with a court warrant. With a court.
They always need. They always need a warrant, but like I think that what they're trying to say is like. I'm not familiar with that particular bill, in fact, but I know what they're trying to get at. Like, I know the reform, what do they call it? The reform proposals that they're getting at.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like going into like, back then there were no cell phones, right? So now they're selling, is it okay for a police officer, when you pull you over, he grabs your cell phone, and I don't know how he's going to unlock it in the first place. Like, the client's not going to get it, but he somehow hacks it and unlocks it, and now he can quickly go through your messages. Is it kind of allowed to do that? But it's kind of like, hey, when you get pulled over, the officer will go into your dashboard and check inside under the seat if there's any drugs. Are they allowed to do that? So now the phone's included. Can they unlock your phone? And there's more and more and more as technology advances. But it's not like they're very very sensitive, because they know lawyers like us will jump at it the second we find out it's unconstitutional. We'll jump at it and we'll use that and we'll win the whole entire case because they thought they could check the phone, but they weren't allowed to. So that's where the reform and stuff like that come into in the privacy law and the privacy acts and stuff like that. And then now it's going into the they're going so far, I guess. I'm not sure with particular to that bill in particular, the one you referred to, but I'm pretty sure it has a lot to do with it, is where they want to go into the apps and look at your app history. So that's where, like, technology has advanced to the point where
Yeah.
apps even are getting like invaded and
Yeah.
looking at your app history and whatever the crap it does, like location history.
Yeah.
Technically, it's like snitching you out, your own
You
phone.
know? Yeah.
And,
I mean,
it's such a dangerous thing. So people are like, no, don't let them do that. Like, it's
Yeah.
insane. Like, no. And technically, it's already been done. It's been happening for a long time. And I think, like, but you have to be justified. So they can't do it for like small crimes. Say, for instance, this guy's like, I'm a notorious drug dealer, and I have I'm the drug lord, and I have over 50 drug dealers underneath me, and they need to stop the king of the king kind of thing.
Yeah.
A judge would justify a warrant to wiretap my phones 100% because it's very obvious they have, like, I'm the drug lord, like, this is
Yeah.
the guy, we found out where he lives, let's tap his phone. And they would justify it as in, like, they would justify the crime, like, we had to violate his privacy because we needed to put a stop to one of the world criminal drug scams that have been going on in the history of Ontario.
Yeah.
So that would justify it, and da 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 da. But it's very, like, you see how big that circumstance was.
Yeah.
Not all of us are drug lords.
Man, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, sitting next to you here, feels great, first of all. Mostly because you've defended very many people, and also because I think you've done very many cases. And let me ask you, out of all the cases that you've done, is there one that has stood out for you, changed your life, changed you personally,
for
or
sure,
even
the first one.
or professionally?
The first one changed, like, for sure. It was a make it or break. Yeah, like, if I lost the case, most likely I wouldn't have been a criminal lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking for the truth. It's just my my dad especially raised me very, like, old school, like it's like very pragmatic person. Like, it is what it is, son. If you suck, you're terrible at it. Don't act like you're the best at it, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up with that mentality. If I'm terrible at my job, and not terrible, like, if I couldn't save an innocent person, and he actually was really innocent, I shouldn't be doing my job because I'm practicing with an innocent man's life. Just so, hey, let's see if I'm good at criminal law. And I would never want to be that person because, to be honest, like I said, I have a past, and I've been on the other side right near the lawyer. Let's just say that. So I know what it's like. So in a way, my terrible, harsh childhood experiences are such a beautiful experience that I know what it's like to be on the other side of the chair. So my clients can never say, you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to hire. I'm like, no, I have. I remember how expensive it was. I remember how poor I was and how my parents hated me and all that stuff. But first case ever, 5-day trial. My friend was helping me and mentoring me while I was doing the trial. It was crazy. It was a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of reading. The 10 commandments of cross-examination. If any criminal lawyer or a person that wants to be a criminal lawyer or even a civil lawyer, they want to do litigation, they need to know. It's like kind of like a free educational tip over here. The 10 commandments by, I think it's Irvin Young. He's an old school lawyer. I think he passed away now. Brilliant lawyer. He's an American lawyer, and he called something the 10 commandments of cross-examination.
Yeah.
And it's the basics. And if you learn that, you will do really well in court. And till this day, it is taught. And it's an old, like, principle. And I still, before every trial, watch the YouTube video. Even when I'm on a treadmill, I'll listen to the YouTube video. And even though I know it, it's like a reminder. Before a trial, I just will play it in my head.
Yeah.
And it's like a pick-me-upper for criminal lawyers. You need to know it. But that case was just dreadful. I think I threw up. I'll be honest. I threw up like 3 times because of my anxiety, panic. This is your first trial, right? Remember, I practiced as a real estate lawyer. So I was mentored, mentored as a real estate lawyer. So I wasn't trained as a criminal lawyer. So I was kind of being trained by friends who do it for full time at the same time. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to risk this guy. But I prepped. I did the best I could. I humanly probably didn't sleep. I know I didn't sleep. I threw up. I barely ate. Just couldn't sleep. I just wanted to win. I'm like, I'm not losing this case. I was so determined. And hard work paid off, man. Hard work paid off. Well, you know how I won? A question about a sweater.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I asked her a question about a sweater because she answered it terribly wrong, and I executed the question at the perfect moment. I timed it really well. I asked her obviously many questions prior to, and then I asked her the main question and destroyed her. Won the case over a sweater.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? And then that was just, I fell in love. I won the case after I think I was already a lawyer for 3 years, and that was the first time I felt like a real lawyer.
Yeah.
Like, I was a real estate lawyer, and it was very, like, it's hard being a real estate lawyer too, but it wasn't as rewarding because it was crazy how much I pushed myself and like killed myself for trial. And I can't really do that for real estate because it's like it's very straightforward, and like sometimes it's just like open and close, right? But criminal, it's not. I wish it was open and close, but it's like there's so many avenues, and the debt, the vomiting, the anxiety, the hours of torture and prepping your clients, and sometimes you don't even want to be there. Like, I have to make sure he's prepped, and sometimes you're like, oh, I fully forgot that it's not even prepping yourself as a lawyer. You have to prep the client. You have to actually like teach the client. So no one teaches you this in law school. Like, you don't know that. Oh my god! Like, now I have to, like, I'm forced to teaching my client. Like, I didn't know, they didn't teach me this in client. Like, I thought it was just a lawyer and I just do my job well. What does the client have to do with anything? I just, as long as I do my job well, I'm good, right? I didn't know I was supposed to teach my client. That's actually part of the job. Like, you see what I mean? How the educational aspect can only go so far. But day one of the actual learning experience of being, I think, in any field, not just lawyer, is the day you actually get into the field and practice. I think that's the day one. I think that literally is the day one of actually your life experience. Is not the 4 years you did in law school and the bar exams or medical school or accounting school or chiropractor school. It's the first day of the internship that you worked in a law office. That's where the life lesson started.
So if I were to take you back here, early on you told me that you did go, you learned that you wanted to be a lawyer when you were, pretty young. And so I don't know, are you? There's many people out here who want to be lawyers like you someday. Seated on, where you sit.
Hopefully they're better lawyers.
So what are that journey like for you, going into law school? And what you did after law school to become the person that you are today.
It was a tough journey. You know what? It was just the school stuff, to be honest. The school stuff was dreadful. No one cares. Whatever. Just get it done. It's just a piece of paper that you put on your wall so your parents are proud of you. I'm very pragmatic and logical to the point that I get a degree is a big thing. And people work hard for a degree, and it's very commendable and respectful how hard you work. But for me, it's just a piece of paper because I spent so much money and time for a piece of paper that didn't really help me get into the real world until I got into the real world. So I'm like, yes, piece of paper, put it on the world. Now, I'm not done. Like, I thought I was done. Like, if people think like, oh, I got an MD, put it on the wall, and this is it. I know everything now. I can start my job.
You many years ago.
Oh my God, do you? You have no idea. People cry.
So after law school, how many?
So after law school, you do the year. Like, I did the exams. Like, I studied overseas. I studied in England, so we had to do like the equivalency NCA exams. I think there was like 6 of them or something. I came back. It took me like a year. I would say a year or maybe a little bit longer to finish the 6 exams. And then you do the bar exam just like any other Canadian student. And back in the days, it's not 7.5 hours anymore, but it was one day and it's 7.5 hours. And then you get I think it's like 3.5 hours. You get a break and you go back in 3.5 hours. And it's a dreadful experience, but whatever. Whatever doesn't kill you, right? Makes you stronger. It was whatever. But now it's like 4 hours, I heard. So you do the exams, you do articling, like you work under a lawyer because you need like a couple months of an internship. And then once they sign off on you, you graduate. Like, your convocation is like the ceremony where you become a lawyer. And that's the lawyer part. So that was the easy part. Now the hard part was life. Life started when I became a lawyer. So when life started, it was the most traumatic effect ever, because I was like, oh, school's finished. Like, I'm a lawyer now. Let's do this. Let's start making money. Let's be like the best lawyer ever. And I was like, all right, so where do I start? How do I open an office? Like, how do I get clients? How do I talk to clients? How do I open my first file? Like, is this what should I just like talk to a client and just open a file and put some papers in it? Like, that's honestly how you think. You don't think like, you think like we're very well prepared. And then I actually started working and volunteering, and thank God I got a lot of experience prior to becoming a lawyer. That's probably what helped me, the experience before becoming a lawyer. Because thank God I did that. If I didn't, I would be completely clueless. And I worked at an office. I volunteered at an office, and I worked for a couple of years at an office, and that helped me get my foot down. And then I learned as I go. Honestly, God, it was a tough experience running a practice, starting because I didn't work for a law firm or anything. I just went right into opening my own office. It was a very dicey move, as in like I just rolled the dice and just like hope for the best. And I think the worst thing I did was probably opening my office in January 2019, like the beginning of COVID. And
that was brutal.
Somehow I survived.
Must have been brutal.
Like, this is what, 7 years later. Like, I think I did okay. And there's honestly ups and downs. There's still ups and downs now. Like obviously the public can't see my downs. There's still like you run into like financial restraints. You run into like files. You run into like weird clients that are coming after you. You run into like a tiny mistake that you made when you beginning of your practice that you didn't think would come back now, because it was just such a rookie move that you made. You didn't hurt anybody. You just made like a tiny rookie mistake that you didn't think would come back. But now that you're kind of like not a senior lawyer, but more experienced lawyer, you're like, oh my God, why did I make this small mistake? So all these things you just learn as you go. But overall, that's the journey. Yeah, the school part, whatever. Everybody gets through it. It's tough, whatever. Suck it up. And then get ready for real life. That's when the real learning lessons started. After I became a lawyer, you don't think that was going to happen. But one thing I want to tell like every person out there is that you're not alone. Everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Everybody. Majority of people, like even if you don't mean, let's say 80% of people who graduate, lawyers, doctors, accountants, chiropractors, anything, trade workers, it doesn't matter what you are, mechanics, it doesn't.
Yeah.
The second they graduate and they actually get the title and they're in the real world, they're lost. They're like, okay, I know everything I have. I'm like, all right, what do I do? Like,
they're trying to find
do I just
way.
grab a wire and like start doing electrical stuff? Like an electrician, is that like, how do I get clients? Like, I swear to God, that's the real world. But now that you know that, hopefully you can prep better. You could work with people. You could volunteer. Like, they have the privilege and benefit of listening to your podcast where they hear this quickly. I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't like, now that makes sense. Now I should start getting experience at an accounting firm because I want to be a really good accountant. I thought I had to wait until I'm a fully fledged licensed accountant and then start. Good thing I heard this on your podcast and I could start experience. Experience is gold. Like, it's so priceless that people put a value on like getting paid for whatever. When you're getting an experience that helps you in the future in any field, don't put a number on it. Don't put like, I want to get paid minimum wage. I want to get paid $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year to do this job. I've never done it, but I feel like I'm qualified for it.
Yeah.
Because you're underestimating the experience because you don't have experience. You're learning it for the first time.
Yeah.
So you learn it for the first time. You develop your skills. You do it for a couple of years. Now you can say I have a year or two experience as a mechanic. Now you can start talking numbers. Now you can be like, I deserve whatever amount of money because I know how to change an engine.
Yeah.
I know how to win a case. I know you can give me a criminal file, and you won't even talk to me because I would take care of the file so well. You probably talk to me 5 months later when I need you to step in because you're the lawyer. That's the real stuff. 100% I would throw money at this kid. Even though this kid worked for free for 4 years, best employee I've ever had.
Yeah.
He could demand a high salary. But people don't think like that. They're like, I want to get paid even though I don't know nothing, even though I have my...
I have the paper.
My LLB law degree.
Yeah.
You have to pay me. I don't know what to do on the first day. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I never done this law, but I have a degree. So pay me minimum wage. I want, like, they're just demanding. I'm like, you are not, you don't have no value right now. So like, it's kind of like, how would you say, what's the saying? What's the saying? Know your, kind of like know your limits. Kind of pretty much what I'm saying is like, know your limits, know where you belong. Like stay your lane kind of thing. Stay your lane.
Yeah.
I think stay your lane plays better.
Yeah.
You're not there yet. So stay your lane, be humble, get that. Then you can be arrogant, cocky,
when you get there.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
You do whatever you want. You can be humble, whatever you want. But without experience, stay your lane. Let's just say that. Like stay your lane.
There's something you told me here, and that we're even talking about right now. People graduate from law school, and then they want to become, great lawyers like you, but then they need some sort of training. And you told me here that you do some, you do give training, you do teach these lawyers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I offer this unique thing. I just offer it because I wanted it. Remember I said I was always jealous of when I trained someone, I trained them so well and so fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't that happen to me? Why couldn't someone like Niro, like myself, talk to me and have this sit down where I would have paid thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I kid you not. If I knew there was an opportunity to learn this fast in this short amount of time, and go straight into like how to make money, how to protect myself, like this stuff that actually helps you live life and make a livelihood, I would have paid thousands of dollars because it goes straight to the point. But there's always these courses out there. There's always these like textbooks you can read, but there's never a service where you can just call someone. I'm like, I want to be a criminal lawyer. What do I need to do? If I get a file, what should I learn about? What should I do? I'm like, this is what you need to know. Bang, 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 bang. Don't worry about this. That's when you get better. Focus on these. Wouldn't you want that in 30 minutes?
Of course.
How much would you pay for that?
Well,
Like,
I would pay anything
how
the
much do you
person
think you
asking
would,
for.
as a lawyer, how much do you think you would make for after I taught you in 30 minutes or an hour?
I don't know.
Just do the basics, not everything. Obviously, it takes forever to learn
Yeah.
everything. But if I taught you like how to get a client and kind of work the negotiation part of having a criminal file, like a basic file, and how much money do you think you're gonna make from that?
I think I'm gonna make more than I paid you.
Oh, way more.
Yeah.
Way more. That's just one client. One client probably paid off like not even the full retainer probably paid off. But people don't think like that. They go, oh, Niro, in total, like, and the worst part is that it's not even expensive. I'm very like the reason why I offered I think it's a very reasonable fee is because I know my time is worth more.
Yeah.
Not to like toot my own horn or not to act all conceited or anything. It's just I know how much money I lose by talking to people. I actually can quantitate that. Like I can calculate literally from like a timely basis or an hourly basis how much I'm losing money and how much money I can make. So when I talk to people, I'm not going to tell them, hey, I'm actually like I could easily make this much money if I spend more time doing this file, but I'm sitting here mentoring you for this much money. But I don't want to do that. I'm like, you know what? It's a reasonable fee. It's almost to, like like myself to do this. It's more instead of doing it for free all the time.
Yeah.
And it also takes it shows that you take your life seriously.
Yeah.
Like if it was for free, everybody would do it, right?
Of course.
But if you have an incentive, like yes, I'm not even trying to do this as a sales pitch or anything, but if I charge a couple $100, like I'll give you an hour or whatever of my time, and then you pay it, it shows that you're actually serious about investing. It's actually kind of, I would find that gratitude that I'm spending on myself. This is a huge risk talking to Niro. You could have nothing. It could be a waste of time.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I'm spending so much money. And I know if it does help, it's helping me.
Yeah.
So I'd be so happy to spend that money because what's the worst that can happen? Oh, wow, I invested in myself. Oh, how bad can you feel, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. And then it's online, like, and I'm very quick to it as in like I teach students how to guide them whether they should be lawyers or not. I've actually, unfortunately, not fortunately, I think of it as a fortunate situation that I've actually talked to students and kind of not convince them, but made them realize. I didn't convince them. I made them realize that being a lawyer is too much for them. And they were so happy. They actually thanked me after. And they're like, I am so happy you told me. And they were kind of doing it for their family or, you know how like cultural pressure from different countries or wherever you're from. In all cultures too, we have it where they put pressure. The parents put pressure. You have to be this.
Yeah.
So I talked to them like, is this what it is? And they're like, yeah, kind of. And they're like, that is kind of. I really want to be a musician. I'm like,
Yeah. You know what?
why?
Going
I'm
to
like, then I
music.
tell them, you know what? Maybe you know what? Even though you want to be a musician, because I always wanted to be something else, right? When I was younger, I'm like, but wait, can you handle this kind of situation? If this happened to you, can you deal with it? With like, and just go home and sleep. And some of them would be like, no, that's crazy. I'm like, that's every day for me. And I explained that, and they're like, wow. Thank God I spoke to Niro for 30 minutes. I mean, imagine 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Saved them a career move. Can you believe that? And then what do they spend? Like $100 if they're lucky.
Yeah.
$100. Like that's something you go on a night out and spend on your friends. Saved you months or years. So I love that I offer this service, but it's unfortunate that I can't get to a lot of people. I can't tell everybody that the service is out there because no one's seen such a service where you can talk to a lawyer for a decent price and he can answer what you want.
Yeah.
Because I do real estate and criminal, but I can also teach you about, as in like, do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to pursue it? What kind of lawyer? Are you a lawyer? Are you a real estate lawyer? Sorry, are you an administrative lawyer or are you the one that belongs in court, a litigation lawyer?
Yeah.
I don't know which one. Here, give me an hour. I'll help you decide. Literally an hour. I kid you not.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll even tell you, don't even come back. And some of them, she's like, I don't need you anymore because like you just answer my question. I'm like, yeah, I see. What do you think? And they're even like, don't you think I should be charging more? And as a joke, I say that. And they're like, yeah, I see why people pay you. I'm like, don't you think I should be charging more? Like, yeah, definitely. And they feel like they kind of hustled me after. Yeah, it's kind of cute though. But I love that experience. I love when they feel like they got their money's worth. Yeah. And they're like, some of them are even scared, terrified after. But they love the terrifying experience because like, I can't believe this guy was so upfront with me. He told me what no one would ever tell me. I paid a guy. I can't believe I invested in myself for 30 minutes, and I can't believe it was the best investment of my life. Yeah, maybe I'm tooting my own horn.
I don't think you are. I think I'm gonna put down your, like I said, if you want Niro service, the service he's offering, you'll find his contact in the description to this video below. And I guess I'm gonna put a bunch of his handles over there, and you could always reach out to him, for this service. I think you can even talk to people who just want to figure out if they want to switch careers into law.
In a way, yeah. In a way, law is easier for me to like. In particular, like, do they want to be a lawyer or not? I can help them with that.
Yeah.
What kind of lawyer do they want to be? I can help them with that.
Yeah.
There's so many. Even I'm a lawyer. I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to run my business. Like I'm very new. What should I do? Should I just hire people right away? I can help with that because I've done every mistake possible. So I literally.
What mistake have you done?
That
you can talk about?
Yeah, I every mistake you could probably make as a lawyer, as a business owner. I think I make every mistake. There's something called cash flow that you guys should know about. So cash flow is huge, but no one understands what cash flow is. Just Google it, ChatGPT it, learn it. It's a long conversation, but if any business owner is here, not lawyer, it could be anything. A restaurant business owner, learn cash flow.
Yeah.
I learned it late in the game. Research into third-party services. So marketing, accounting, bookkeeping, cleaning your office, everything, contracting even. So that's third-party services. Someone you have to hire, or IT even. IT, my printing guy, someone to fix your printer. Those are all third-party services. I wish I learned when I was younger to look into them before just like, oh, he does IT. You know a lot more IT than I do. I'll pay you to come fix whatever. Do not do that. I thought it was that easy. There's so many terrible people out there.
Yeah.
Terrible. They're just ready to hustle new business owners. And I didn't know that. I learned that solely that they actually can tell if you're a new business owner because you don't ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this sucker's mine. And they destroy you. I lost. Like, if you want me to give you an example, maybe it's because of my field. It's like that. I lost easily $30,000 to $40,000 in my first year, 1 year, easily, just because I made the wrong decision. Next year, I think I lost even a little bit more than that. Because it's because I started growing the business so much. I started delegating. I needed a guy to do this. I needed a guy to do that. Not like for the office, for I needed a guy to do courier. I needed a guy for my accounting, but I hired the worst accountant on the planet.
Yeah.
Now I'm years behind because I hired, it's that bad.
Yeah.
So if you hire the wrong person, it is so much better to do your due diligence and get referrals or ask your friend, hey, is this a good accountant? Are you sure? How long have you known him for? Maybe do some research. A CPA versus a regular accountant, I did see there is a benefit. There is a difference between a CPA and accountant, but they're both good. A bookkeeper, sometimes it's not, you don't need it, but sometimes your life is so much easier with the bookkeeper. So you learn these things. But if you're hiring a third-party service in any field, even if you're like a restaurant owner and you're hiring someone that delivers alcohol, look into them.
Yeah.
Because that could cost you tons of years of headache. Pay extra money. Who cares? Don't be that frugal because you do pay for quality, but don't overpay as in people are just pretending to give you that premium quality because they know the competitive pricing out there. So they charge you the high fees, but they're actually terrible. They just started last month.
Yeah.
But they pretend they've been running their business for 6 years.
You also don't know. Yeah.
See what I mean? So that's why the research comes in. So I wish I did that instead of rushing into things. So yeah. So that's probably the number one advice I would give as a business owner.
I think that's solid advice, man.
Yeah.
Think about, we were talking about a little bit earlier about all the technology that's available to people right now. And I was just thinking about, how we have AI right now and how it's, changing the landscape so much.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to change the landscape in the legal profession?
It will make administrative tasks easier.
Yeah.
I'll tell you 100%. It already is. There's no doubt about it. So that's one thing. It made administrative tasks easier. Research, it's a tough area.
Yeah.
It's not that, I guess,
accurate.
Fluent.
Okay.
Or fluid, as in it's not that foolproof, as in you can't rely on it. And there's been even articles recently how lawyers have tried it, and it was almost like information wasn't even true.
Yeah.
It was fake information. We never thought AI could do that.
Yeah.
And no one thought AI can create stuff, and it did. And lawyers had to suffer because they just relied on it and think AI would never it would only do whatever's out there that's real. And I guess people have the internet has fake information, right? Anybody can create a blog. So I guess maybe ChatGPT or AI took that and applied their whatever their what do you call it, their algorithm, and this is the answer.
Yeah.
So that's how bad it can go. So AI is there. It's starting. It will take over some certain administrative jobs. I'll be honest. It sucks to hear it, but it's kind of like robotics. Law is a lot of administrative stuff. So as AI comes in and less paperwork and less physical manual tasks, it is people are losing jobs. When it comes to trials, good luck getting AI to win trials.
Yeah.
Because that's where the privilege of the emotional aspect comes in. AI can calculate human reaction, facial recognition, whatever. Science can come and go.
Yeah.
But it would have to be flawless to do so well that it read that this person's lying, and that's what trial is. The judge and the lawyers will look at reactions. So it has nothing to do with just questioning. I can answer a question 4 different ways, and no one knows that. and I can say the same thing 4 different ways, exact same thing,
Yeah.
same words, and hopefully AI is smart enough to catch it.
Mhm.
So they're nowhere close to that level, I think. But it might. You never know. It can maybe pick up on voice, and you know how they have lie detectors.
Yeah.
We don't really. That doesn't really apply in law. People think it does because of movies and stuff. It's not even that reliable because it's a constitutional right to put yourself in a
Yeah.
lie detector. But maybe it's like an American movie thing. But you know how even lie detectors are so advanced now, they could just put something on you and like your heart pulses and everything. Before they used to put all these like little triggers on you, right? Just
Yeah,
for like
now they just
now
need
I'm pretty
something
sure
on
it's like
your
a
palm, yeah.
wireless Bluetooth thing. You know what I mean? It's like that. But at the same time, it's not reliable. You can't be like he 100% lied, like 100%
Yeah,
because the lie detector
simply
went
because
off.
his heart was
No,
beating
maybe he
fast.
just got super nervous, and every time you
Yeah.
ask the question, they're like, even though it's the truth, I just like shook and got nervous and
Yeah.
lied. So is AI that good?
Yeah, because what I'm thinking
Yeah.
is if I'm able to take all the cases that have happened in Canada before
Yeah.
and put them into this
AI thing. They have that. They actually have that.
model.
Yeah, and it like summarizes it for you.
Yeah,
It could, but
what I'm thinking about is not even summarizing that for you, but to help with research. I mean, if
Yeah,
you can hedge
100%.
my AI model on Canada cases only,
yeah. They already have that.
and I want you to they already have that.
100%. There's a worst part. They
Yeah.
already have their kind of pilot project. Lawyers are using it, but they're just like using it to kind of get a shortcut to the answer. But when they get to the answer, they take their time. They're like, we just needed to find out somewhere close to the answer. Okay, now we found out we're getting closer to the answer. All right, AI, step back now.
Yeah,
Let's
now
do
you
our
can reverse
research.
engineer probably
How will I
from
sell it
there.
to the judge? This is
Yeah.
the law, but it's not like you read, Your Honor, the law says da 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 da. I win the case, like because
Yeah,
you read the
you-
law, because
you-
you
you
read it
can't
for
do
word for
that.
word.
Yeah.
How could you lose the case? Because
So do you have to memorize stuff, or well, not memorize,
memorize.
but speak stuff out of your mind? Like you can't go there with a piece of paper and say that
Here, I'll
that's
give you.
everything.
I'll give you a real life example. Right?
Yeah.
Let's call it a drinking and driving case.
Mm-hmm.
A very common case: drinking under the influence, driving under the influence. Sorry. So while you're driving under the influence, you use a case. Oh, Your Honor, the case says that if you're drinking and driving, you have to do these 5 things. 1,
Mm-hmm.
the guy has to be awake. 2, he has to have alcohol in his system. 3, he has to know that he did have alcohol in his system. What if someone drugged him? 4, the test, right? There's a test.
Mm-hmm.
So that test in every single DUI, drinking and driving offense, is different. Because
Yeah.
this guy drank and hit a car. This guy was caught in a bar. This person was in a house party drinking. This person was at a club drinking. This person was at his friend's engagement party and then just went home. Everything was so different, right?
Yeah.
So those tests apply in different ways. So can AI do that? Oh, this is the
Probably
test.
not.
The law says the test. In all situations, the test was the same, right? The law is the same for all 4 situations. But if I go to a judge and just read out the test and then, Your Honor, that's the test, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious my client, he's
Yeah.
not guilty. No, because they didn't explain how the test applies to the actual party.
Yeah.
So, Your Honor, the test applies because in the house party, someone put something in his drink. He had no clue, even though he was intoxicated, even though he was drunk and he drove, he had no clue he was intoxicated because someone put something in his
his
drink,
drink, yeah.
what's called spiked his drink.
Yeah.
And that's why. So, see, but in the situation where it was the engagement party, you drank all night.
Yeah,
Your Honor,
and you
you
knew.
apply the same test though, but
Yeah.
he knew he was drinking
Yeah.
all night. You see how it's like the law
Yeah.
didn't really, even though the same law applied in all 4 different situations, were different
Yeah.
in the different tests. So that's where AI, I don't think, and hopefully it can't help you, or else I'm out of a job. But
Yeah.
it will probably get to the level of, because you can't stop technology, right? It's gonna get to the point where it could recognize voice, facial recognition, and be like, this guy's lying because his hair
Yeah.
or eyebrow, like it's we can't do that as humans. We're not that good. But AI can catch it. AI can be like, yeah, he moved. He's like talking. He's moving every time. Every time he lie, he gulps. AI can catch that. It
Yeah.
can calculate it in the minute. That's how scary the world is becoming. But it's not. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
But to say that we'll never get there, no, that's important. Like
Yeah,
it will get there.
and I
It
think
will.
that it's important
I'd
that
be
people-
lying if I said it won't get there. Like it will get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you actually know that it'll get there, and I guess most lawyers also know that
It's
getting
inevitable.
there.
Yeah, it's almost like saying science will stop growing. That's literally what I'm saying. Yeah, 100%. And it'll never get their Joab. Like,
Yeah.
no way. It's like science will just, we're done. Science is limited. Like, it's done. This is where it's
No,
done.
man, I
I
think
think we
that's what we're
humans
doing
came to
every
there.
day.
That's what I'm,
Yeah.
for me to say AI will never get there is literally saying science stopped. Like, this is where science stopped. 2025, now we're at a cap. Like, we can't get smarter than this. Like, there's no
No,
advancement.
no.
Obviously, that's not true.
Yeah. Let me ask you. I mean, this. I'm almost on a very final question
yeah.
here. So, how familiar are you with the Barry and Honey Shaman case? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions here, and I wanted to know if it is okay for you to talk about it.
Which case? Sorry, say it again.
So the Apotex guy who was killed a couple of years ago.
Apotex guy.
Yeah, Harry and Barney Shaman. So what happened? I think is that they were found. Oh, okay. So they were found dead in their pool or something.
Okay.
And I think an arrest hasn't been made, and this probably happened back in 2017 when they were killed.
Okay.
I mean, initially they thought it was a murder suicide, whereby one of them, or a double suicide.
And it was in Canada.
Actually. It was in Canada, right in Vaughan, in their home in Vaughan.
It was in 2017.
Yeah.
Okay, it was before. Okay, that's why it was before I was a lawyer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but no, there's so many cases. I'm not. I know like some of them. I don't know all of them for sure.
Yeah.
But for instance, that case you said it was a murder suicide and they drowned in the pool, and it's still
eventually
a cold case.
Yeah. Eventually they realized that it was a double murder.
Okay. And they have suspects now.
So they haven't found a suspect yet. And so I'm just wondering.
But they know it's a murder.
Yeah, they after investigation.
Like for so many years.
Yeah, for so many years, they now say it's a double homicide. I'm just wondering why, they haven't
like they changed their mind kind of
yet. They haven't made an arrest yet. I'm just wondering if...
To be honest, it depends. Like, you can't really blame them, or even like as a lawyer or a police officer, anybody in the criminal field, we completely know why it's taking longer than others. It's because there's not much evidence on the case itself.
Yeah.
It probably took them like you said, it took forever to find out it was a double homicide. So that means if it was a double homicide, it was a well done homicide. Like they thought everything through. Now just finding out it was a homicide was hard. Now the next step is, like they said, finding out who the suspects are. And like there could be, if it was like say gang related, right? What if the gang was like 100 people deep? What if the gang just had like 10 people in this insane notorious gang that they're the hitmen? It could be any of those 10.
Yeah.
Are we just gonna say like it's so that's how bad it is? So it's a hard, like it's a case. But sometimes you get lucky.
I'm just wondering. I mean, can someone even come out and even one person, say something? I mean,
it could. They could. They're called cold. Like they're called ancient cold cases for a reason. As in, like they're like like true crime. Those podcasts where talk about like 30-year-old cases and that they were missing and they come back.
Yeah,
they're allowed because like technology. It's actually technology, because you're talking about AI. It actually has to do with technology. So these cases back then, they didn't have like fingerprints and DNA tests, but now technology is so advanced, you could take DNA from things like 30, 40 years ago and somehow like apply it. And I guess like it analyzes so well, you could pinpoint like this is what happened. This is the shoe that was wearing. This is the person that wore the shoe. Da 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 da. And like we caught a guy that we thought was a criminal 30 years ago. But it's technology advancements, if anything. But that's how cold cases now are actually getting solved a lot faster, because the technology is insane. Like sooner or later, if you want to talk about AI, AI can probably recreate an event, a scenario, like a criminal scenario, potentially with whatever was there, with just pictures alone. Most likely in the future, I'm assuming we can get to the point where AI can like create these like scenarios and be like, this is what happened. We could tell from the picture that the gentleman walked through here and then the gun shot was over there.
Yeah, they
could actually probably do that sooner or later, because the picture caught it, but the human eye is not gonna like analyze it and computing. Yeah, we're not doing that. But the computer does that in seconds. It's just by looking at a picture.
Yeah,
you see how advanced technology is. That's why these cold cases back then.
I was actually watching a movie that they did that in. I think
probably
it's
Black Mirror.
No, Black Mirror. It's The Accountant. The Accountant.
Oh, The Accountant.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second one, the new one, they have this recreation of that, a scene of a shooting
or something.
Yeah.
I watched it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. And he was like depicting, and he was like looking at reflections and stuff like that. So say, for instance, this is a great example. Like you've seen it in movies too. When they have a picture, right? They can't zoom in and pixelize it and look at the reflection. Now we probably have like AI that can recreate the picture, even though the picture is not clear. It just looks at what it could have looked like and be like, look at the reflection. You can see the guy's face. That's insane. We actually have that kind of technology, but we could take it even further. Yeah, as in, like, it's not available all the time, but it's sooner or later it's gonna be like be an app on my phone. I'm like, hey, I just solved your neighbor's crime, that murder that happened 10 years ago. I used my phone in this app, figured out who was in the picture, who's in the reflection of the. It's literally going to get to that level there. Like technology going to get that advanced where you're going to casually have conversations about solving crime on your phone.
Yeah. If you were to go back, what's one piece of advice you are happy you received, and who was it from?
One piece of advice that I received, and that now we're in the past.
Yeah, in the past.
in the
No,
past that
maybe I should phrase the question. So, what's the greatest piece of advice you've
ever
ever received?
received.
Yeah, and who was it from?
There's so many, but you know what? I get maybe you're being too corny, but my dad said something or in our culture, like he said something in Tamil, and Tamil he said something when I was young, and it made so much sense. Like I was a terrible kid. Like my parents, like they put me in line physically. They needed to because I was a very hyper kid, and as I was getting older, I remember I think it was in taekwondo or something. And I was just tired. I was like, Dad, they're all these kids are just better. They're taller. I didn't have my growth spurt yet. And I was like, they're tall, they kick longer. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to be like, I can't compare to these kids. Like, they're just too tall. Like, I wish. And like, I don't know why I'm doing taekwondo. And my dad literally came up to me and it made so much sense. I don't know why I understood it as such a kid. I think I was 6 or 7 years old. He said, if it was easy, son, everybody would do it. And I was like, what? Like, yeah, it's true. Okay. If it was, yeah, I would be like, everybody would just, in the first day, there'd be a black belt kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, also, you have to work hard and struggle. And that's why everybody can't do it. Because I did something that everybody didn't do. Is I went through pain and torture. And then, oh, wow, I'm a black belt or whatever. So that I applied in life. And now I say, it's funny how I mentor lawyers.
Yeah.
And at the end of some of the classes I mentor, like they'll be like, whatever. Like, say a big class, like 15 or 14 lawyers. And so I'd be like, I teach them about something hard in life. Like, guys, it sucks. Like, this is how it is. And then I would tell them, just to give them a boost of advice, hey, guys, think of it this way. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm quoting something like this immigrant parent told me during taekwondo class to lawyers.
Yeah.
You see how that works? The irony, like, you went from a kid that was stubborn that wanted to quit in taekwondo to the same speech I'm using towards lawyers. And it still applies. It's the same logic. So I would say, yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it. It would probably be like one greatest piece of advice. You want to hear a really good one? I actually follow this. I don't know why I didn't think of it. It's Tupac Shakur. You wouldn't think it. So Tupac Shakur said it. I think it was like in an interview when he was in jail, and I think I can't say it quote for quote, but he said, "Nah, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world. I just want to spark the mind that will." And he said that during the interview, and I sat there. I'm like, why did that make sense to me? And like, it is true. She was asking about something like, why do you talk about like drugs and girls and like prostitutes and like it's fun to do all these things, and then you preach about Black Panther and like political rights? And he's like, I'm not perfect. He's like, I'm not saying I'm perfect. He's pretty much said, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world. He literally said that. I'm not going to change the world, but I just want to spark the mind that will. And that's literally what he did.
Yeah.
And he did it to thousands of people in that one interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, it stuck with me. It stuck with me. I'm literally not trying to change the world. I don't care. I don't care if the world even knows my name. But if I made a difference in the world where some kid made this huge impact because of something I taught him, and I don't even need to know what the impact was. If I did that, that's what I want. 100%. Even if it's past my time. I say I wasn't even in the picture. It happened years after my time. And that, whatever I taught somebody and made a huge, and that kid made an impact on 1,000, or that girl or boy made an impact on hundreds and hundreds of people, I would die happy, kind of thing.
Deep,
so yeah,
man.
deep stuff.
That is so deep.
Tupac, eh?
Yeah,
Thug life.
Yeah, man. You know, every time someone is seated here next to me, I treat them like a king or a president. You know, I follow this from the White House. So every time a new president is coming into the office, they normally leave a letter for the next guy who comes into the office.
Oh.
And so in the Couch Connect here, since I'm asking questions, so every guest who comes onto the show gets to leave a question for the next guest on the show.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna read a question here for you that was left for you, by the guy who was here before you. They didn't know who it's gonna be.
Okay.
It's gonna be you. So they asked, if you were to write a note to your 15-year-old self, what would you tell that version of yourself?
If I was be meticulous, like very detailed, if I was be very vague, I would just be like, make better choices, kind of thing. And be careful who you hang out with. I would tell myself that. But if I were to be more meticulous and more detailed, I'd probably tell myself to invest in these stocks and that stocks. No, I'm kidding. If I were to be pragmatic, I'd be like, invest in this crypto. Bitcoin wasn't a joke.
Yeah. Well, 15 years, it wasn't there though.
It wasn't. That's what I mean, imagine. But just one piece of advice, right? Pretty much like what you're saying. I would say, be careful who you hang out with, and have better choices in friends. Because people who even if you don't have friends, people who are around your parents, girlfriend, boyfriend, especially friends. I think friends have the biggest amount of influence because you're more happy to see your friends than your own family. Usually, like you're more like chill and lenient and more laid back. You're more calmer when you're with friends. So the influence you absorb it more. When you're with family and friends, you're more uptight. You're more on guard. You're like, they're just saying that because they're parents. But with friends, you take it in more. So that's why the influence of friends, crucial, man. I'm not gonna lie. It put me back 10 to 15 years. I would say, like I didn't. Obviously, clearly, I didn't grow up in the best neighborhoods, but there were beautiful experiences. But it was like you think like they're if I made better choices with friends as growing up, I would have got so far in life way faster. But at the same time, I'm tough. I am who I am. I personally is who I am because of these terrible experiences. So I'm happy. I kind of welcomed them in. I wouldn't do it again. But who knows? What if I would have been? I wouldn't be having this conversation. What if I was like a douchebag? What if I was just arrogant because I didn't have all these? I didn't have these terrible experiences. I was just growing up with privilege.
Yeah.
So it could have been bad or good, but any person, I always tell them, especially young people, I tell them be careful with who your friends are because you think they're your ride to die girls, ride to die boys, friends for life, like because you're having so much fun. Like every day you're seeing each other. It won't last too long. It's unfortunate. Some do. I'm not saying some don't. But if you make the great choices in life, you could probably get to where you want faster. I'm talking about years. Maybe money you might even save because I lost thousands of dollars because of friends. But I could have made so much money. I could have saved so much money. I could have like got to where I wanted faster. Like I thought about it, but whatever. It is what it is. Fate, it is fate, right? I do kind of believe in fate. Things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And every culture does a different way of saying it. In Arabic culture, they have a saying. Some people call it karma. Some people call it is written. In some religion, it's pretty much that it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I believe in that as well. So I'm not like ashamed of my past. I'm like, I hate my past. I'm like, no, I love my past. I'm lucky to have my past, or else I wouldn't be this person I am today. So, yeah, friends. Be careful with your friends. That's the note I would leave myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you this opportunity now to write a question to the next guest on the show. So take your time, and I don't see the question actually until I'm sitting next to the guest.
Okay.
Yeah, so whenever you're ready, you can write the question.
You get to see it. Nice.
Yeah. Niro, man, sitting here with you has been such a nice experience.
It was fun.
You are very knowledgeable. You know your thing, and you are inspiring, man. And you're willing to share this with the world, and you didn't hold back at all. I really love that.
I hope I can help. I'm glad. I hope I help someone out there. What you're doing is like a beautiful thing. Like you're just helping people out there, getting them real life experiences.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like if they took something out of this, and maybe I save thousands of dollars, maybe I made help someone make a career choice. But I hope it helps. That's all I truly do these for. It is a win-win. It does help me get my name out there at the same time. Like I'm not saying I'm not happy to be on this podcast. I am, and it helps people to recognize. But at the same time, if I can actually get one message out there to help your viewers, and it did help, I don't even need to know about it. We just like that peace of mind is like, I probably helped someone. Hopefully I did. And that's the best feeling in the world. And hopefully I did. And hopefully you're going to continue to do this for the next couple of years and help thousands of viewers. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much. While I did prepare for this interview, I did do some research. It is possible that I didn't get to ask all the questions I should have. So is there something that you probably wanted to say or have thought of saying, but I didn't phrase a question in such a way that you'd say it? So this is the opportunity. You can say it.
No, all the questions you said was perfect. If anything, I would just tell people like one thing they want to get out of this, just be humble. And then I think one thing this world is missing is yes, we all go through our ups and downs. There's so many issues we're going through, but don't let that define you. Like I'm going through a terrible time right now as we speak, so many issues, but I don't care. That doesn't let me define me. I'm still a great person towards my staff, my employees. Don't let that define you. Put a smile on, be nice to people, open the door for people, like try to be a better role model for the new generation because we don't have that anymore. So that's what I want to see. And then people don't understand and they don't value that their actions go a long way. And especially the youth, a lot of young people, even people that they don't think are watching. And if you don't open that door, if you don't say thank you, if you are always like not being polite and always trying to like get the one up on another, the kids are watching. They think that's normal. So that's what I'm saying. If I can express some humility out there and some humane spirit, please, like hopefully that works. But yeah, I want to lead by example. And if people want to have a deeper conversation, I'm more than willing to just don't be a douche. Just be nice. Like it's so hard to find a nice person out there. And then I think that's what separates me. I'm not saying I am nice. People call me weirdly nice. I don't know why, because they don't see it coming. They think I'm some like tough lawyer who's gonna act all like pretentious and sophisticated. I'm like your neighborhood like goofball, and they're like, wow, this guy's so like chill, and I could have a conversation with him. I could talk about sports, and he could save me from legal troubles. What? Like I could talk about sports with a guy and save me from legal troubles. Like this is the lawyer I want. I think that's my approach that people love.
Yeah.
And I never try to be someone I'm not. I never try to be the lawyer Niro. No, I'm Niro. I'm not the lawyer Niro. I don't care for my occupation to that extent. It's just a job. I'm Niro at the end of the day. I'm Niro first, and the lawyer is just a job. I'm just good at it. Don't look at me as the lawyer. Look at me as Niro, the fun guy that plays basketball. He knows a little bit of law, but he also knows other stuff too. But I think that's what it be. When I say be humble, stop defining yourself because of your job. Yeah. Don't be like Joab the professor. There's so many things behind you. It's just a job. Like that's just one part of people. Oh, you must be like this because you're a professor. You must know every answer to every question because you're. No, it's just that's not who I am. That's just a job. You're forgetting who I am. I'm Joab. I'm Niro. I grew up here. I grew up there. I grew up there in basketball. I grew up in sports. I grew up watching this and that. We didn't have cell phone cameras when we grew up. We grew up with dial-up internet. That's Niro.
Yeah.
That's the real Niro, not the lawyer Niro. So I think people need to remember where they came from.
Yeah, man. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
Keep being you, man.
Hopefully the word gets out there.
Yeah, folks, if you made it this far, I do think it's because you did like this episode. It's been nice hanging out with this nice gentleman here today. And I do hope that you did take, something from him. So thank you very much, Niro, for hanging out with me.
Thank you for having me.
And hopefully you get to help somebody out there as you've been doing it, for many years before.
Hopefully.
And for you, like I said, if you made it this far, I think it's because you like this episode. So if you haven't yet, do subscribe to this channel, like this episode, and remember to tell your friends to tell their friends. Till next time, do take care. Kwaheri.